anything else to add? I do agree we have to evolve. That's why we're having these conversations, trying to evolve our mindsets and get new
because
information. And yeah, I think it's.
we have to
You guys want to give
understand the
my other floor
construct
again?
first,
Something.
right? We have to understand the construct, like why they did it. So there's a book, Charles Mills. It's called The Racial Conspiracy. It
Mm-hmm.
talks about why people align themselves with whiteness. So if we look recently,
Mm-hmm.
Mexicans who are mestizo, who are brown, who are darker than me, understand the law here that makes me black, as they call me, pinchy N-word. Um, but they don't understand how that makes them black because they've
Mm-hmm.
been deceived in their homeland that they've become white there, or they've been
It's a different
like,
construct. And people have different in
in
different
different colonies,
countries, right?
right?
Yeah.
Because different colonial systems that existed. But in Mexico specifically, they separated from Spain in like 1830. And then the the mestizo class, is the one that came up to recommit genocides against Native Americans and implement that Blancamenta bullshit of whitening your family. Um,
But do you think this racial construct we have in America is benefiting us?
benefiting Black people?
Yeah.
No.
It's not, right? Exactly. That's
The
exactly.
reason, like, we have to exist as Black people, like, you don't have to exist in your mind. People are going to identify you as Black, regardless of if you want to be biracial or not. The reason we Black people have to exist in America is so whiteness can exist. That you, like everybody else who is called a color
Yeah, that's
human,
exactly what Maya was saying, or somebody else was saying that about it's like an antithesis. Like they want to be nothing like you, so they want to. Yeah. So yeah.
and so right, and so everybody else lost their color. Like the red people and the yellow people lost their color, but we're still
Yeah.
healthy, right?
Right. Nobody says
Because
yellow. You're yellow, red.
they want
Nobody
to be
says that. It's only black and white.
right. So as people can become white, like Mexicans, mestizos, and Hispanics are passing into whiteness. That's why they put white Hispanic on the census now.
Oh
We should
wow.
be worried about these people who identify this way, like George Zimmerman, who took his chance into passing as a white person to unalive one of our children.
Yeah.
So it is an issue. This is why, like, it, we have to understand that, like, Blackness, the phenotype situation. Phenotype isn't just your skin color. Phenotype is anything that is identifiable about you. So
Mm-hmm.
with white passing runaway slaves back in the day, if they thought you were Black and, like, you cut all your hair off, they would hold you in jail until your hair grew out, and then they would lodge a pencil in it to see, like, if your hair was nappy enough to hold the pencil. That could be one identifying feature that sent you back. Other things could
Mm-hmm.
be just pedigree charts. People know who you are. Someone can identify it. Um,
So should we keep, because somebody Maya said black has become an identity rather than just a race. So like yeah, there is like African American black culture. So should we
right.
keep blackness but get rid
Yeah.
of whiteness
Well,
and just get rid of like I say I'm white, I'm more identified with like oh go ahead Michael. I was going to ask a question. Well, go ahead. You got anything to say on this?
I think the people that aren't really, consumed with the identity that they are as compared to the rest is an issue too. Barack Obama is a light-skinned black person. He became the leader of the free world, right? Like he was like, no, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna thug through this. I'm gonna be claimed the leader. You know what I mean? So I think that right now this is giving too much affinity to the topic at hand. Black culture. It's got a certain swag, a certain flavor. You know what I mean? And I don't have to deal really with the plight, but I have to deal with the plight of being Latino. I don't sound authentically Latino.
You speak
And
Spanish?
I speak completamente. Te puedo hablar lejos español.
Okay.
Seguramente,
Cool.
toda la vida te puede hablar así y preguntarte con lo que sea. You know what I mean? I could talk Spanish until, that doesn't mean nothing. That doesn't mean nothing to me. It really doesn't. I like being me. Like whoever the hell
I think
I
it's like
am.
it goes down to like okay, because this is something that affects makes people like group politics. Like, are you one of us or are you not? And a lot of people go by culture. Like, oh,
It
if your culture
does.
is black, that means you're. So it's like group politics about are you in this group or are you not? You know what I'm saying?
If
That affects
if
mixed people a lot.
It really does. Like, what if in just in my apartment? So what if 10 out of the 15 residents are fully Latino? Me in my life as I live, this is a determining factor in my nurturing, in what I'm how I feel accepted, my presentation of myself, how I conduct myself, what's proper, what's not. So, and this is just right here.
Environment matters, right?
Right. Do you want to be included? If you know what I mean? If I was like light skinned and black, and my neighborhood, my apartment complex, everybody's black and everybody's outside, and there's a certain, wanting to be included, not fitting in. How does that affect you? And what are you subject to? What are you available to? Not even on a national level. This is just my apartment I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Right.
My school. What if it's primarily black? What if it's primarily white? And I don't have to deal with
that affects you. Like, if you feel like, if people, because there's always going to be different people, different opinions. Some people are going to be like, oh yeah, you're cool, you want to, and some people are not. So it's not like a,
right.
It's a different experience, because
right.
people who are fully fully monoracial or whatever, they don't have to. Well, they see that some people do, because it's a cultural thing too. But like, some people are adopted by like white people or something, and they're totally outside of the culture, and they don't really know how they fit in within like the culture that they're people
exactly. I spent a decade in prison, and there was this white blood. He was a blood, and he was white. He was the most gangsterous dude in the world, and he sounded so ghetto, so ethnic, like, and he didn't stand for shit. He'd beat up his own bloods. You know what I mean? Like, if anybody said, this white boy, blah blah blah, you know what I mean? Like, everybody is subject, and everybody has their own plight. I can't imagine how it is having a daily reminder every time you look in the mirror, how light-skinned black like you and J.E. are. You know what I mean? Like, and it's probably a constant identity crisis, and every day a constant, look in the mirror, But I try to be me.
It's hard because, humans naturally group up, right? They naturally group up. And then they naturally fight, right? The different groups naturally fight with each other. And then with especially us being a product of two groups that have been fighting, and one has been oppressing the other, it's like, who are you going to pick? Because you don't have your own
right.
group,
Right, that identity, a constantly confirmation of an identity crisis every second of your life.
Are you with us or against us? It's not the same. It's not the same with like Blasians, because those two are kind of, they don't really have that bad blood between each other.
Conflict, that conflict within them.
Not as bad. So it's like you could be both, because they're not against each other. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's experience, right? So
it's your personal journey, man. It's a personal journey.
This is part of my personal journey, just talking with people and getting other people. I don't want to be in my own bubble. I want to like, get other perspectives on things, and it's good to hear, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's all I got to say about it.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead to Juju. Sorry, Juju has not had the opportunity to speak yet, but we're gonna go ahead to him next. I would like to hear his opinion about things. And oh, he's gone. Hello? Oh no, I think he paused his live. Let me give him a minute. Okay, I'm gonna go to Lauren then. I'm going to go ahead and go to Lauren. And then he has a chance to come back, wrap up. Okay, good. Hello.
Can you do, was it Mia or Maya? Because I had told her that she can go before me.
Oh, you want Maya? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the other guy left. Okay.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Okay, Maya.
Thank you so much, Lauren. But
no problem.
what was I about to say? What you were saying about the looking in the mirror and it being a constant reminder. I'm a light-skinned black person too. You feel me? And I don't know about y'all's birth certificates, but they told my mom she is what her dad is. So my birth certificate just says black. And then on top of that, my dad sat me down one day and he was like, "There's gonna come a time in your life where you have an identity crisis. All mixed kids go through it." And I brushed it off, but it ended up being true. Cause it's like I started realizing, I started looking into history, and I started realizing my ancestors owned beat and tortured each
Exactly.
other. Like
Exactly.
I started really thinking, and I'm like, somewhere down the line, one of my mom's ancestors owned one of my dad's ancestors, and it's like an internal, it is an internal battle. You feel me? And then the problem is, I feel like, and this is an observed thing. This is not me pulling oppression Olympics, nothing. This is an observed thing. Being biracial in America is most likely a more difficult experience than being multi-ethnic, because a lot of times you might have multi-ethnicities, but they were never against each other. The whole basis of America was built on the backs of black people. So us being half white, half black, or whatever percentages we have, it does cause an internal issue, because that's how America was built. Because if you think about it, one drop rule back in the day, if my parents, ended up having me, I would have been a slave. My mom would have been the owner. My dad would have been a slave too. So it's like a mental, I don't know. It's like a mental conflict.
They punished. There was a law in Virginia that if a white mom had a biracial kid, then the white mom gets enslaved too. The white mom gets 5 years of enslavement, and then the biracial kid gets 30 years of enslavement.
But it's just it's really like, it does become identity crisis. But I honestly, my whole life, I have people tell me, oh, you're light skinned, this and that, and I always question my blackness. I always felt the need to tell people, hey, I'm mixed. But usually black people know how to identify other black people. We see each other. So me always feeling like I had to clarify that I was black, or prove myself to be black, this and that. That's an internal conflict that I had with myself, and I feel like a lot of mixed kids go through that, and it's sad, because you're basically too white to be black and too black to be white.
Yeah, because that's what's totally. Oh, go ahead.
I can imagine how hard it is. You being Maya, you look a little bit more black, I'm gonna assume. Going and chilling with a bunch of black people, and then out of nowhere, one or two of them start talking, exclusively, not including you. And I can imagine that has a huge impact. And what the hell? You know what I mean?
I would say more so the culture. Because growing up for me, I always wanted braided beads. I wanted beads with braids, and I wanted to do different things. But I always convinced myself, oh no, you're too white looking to get box braids. They're going to think you're a culture appropriating white woman, this and that. But I almost grew into my blackness. I started realizing, regardless of how these white people feel about me being black people know I'm black, and if it was back in the day, I would have just been black. I would have just been a slave. So why am I excluding myself, trying to loop myself in this own individual category? Being biracial is not its own race. Being mixed is not its own race. It's a mix of two pre-existing races. So you do kind of have to choose. But if I choose, me personally, I identify more with my black side now. I grew into it. I used to question myself and, oh, I'm too white to tell people I'm black and this and that. No, now I'm just okay, I'm black. That is what it is.
Right. I look hot. I look good in braids, so I'll wear braids sometimes. Yeah, no, you gotta be you. Don't go with the crew that don't go with the hottest crew.
Somebody brought up earlier.
Go where the love is.
When you're around black people, yeah, they may make fun of you for being half white. Oh, yeah, that happens. But it's nobody really cares.
Yeah, no.
It's only online that people say you're not black. That. Yeah. I've never been told in real life that you're not black. Never.
No.
Your character will stand. Your character will stand. Online,
but it still affected me. Honestly, I was is this what really people think? That they're just not? Because people go online and say things that they're thinking, but they don't say it in real life. You know what I'm saying? It did affect me that there's so many people saying, oh, you're not black. You're not. It did affect me. It was damn. But even though
the problem between
2017.
Hold on,
what'd you say?
I got a video of brother, not really, he's an asshole, from Georgia. He was raised by white people. He is basically at work. I was hired as a foreman, and he was giving me shit the first day about being light skinned. So we were going back and forth, whatever. He tells the white guy that I'm racist, but he doesn't tell you anything about me being black.
Dude.
So he started a whole bunch of shit, and they were basically we're going to try to get you fired. I was on probation for some shit, and that could have got me locked up for getting fired.
That's what's up. But
this is not just the first time it happened. It's just the first video that I was able to capture all of it, almost all of it. So there are, I grew up in DC, looking like I do, in the suburbs, but my dad's from Southeast, and I used to go down there, every weekend to see my grandma. But I've understood colorism very well, you know, the privilege and the progression of it as the power demographics have shifted from the 80s to the 90s to where we're at today. You know, like I'm 40 years old. I used to wear box braids when I was in like junior high, because my mom didn't want to like do my hair all the time. And, you know, that's what my aunts whatever suggests. So that's just the way it was. My sister would do it too. It was never an issue back then because everybody knew that we were Black because that was the only option back then. There was this we could be biracial. That wasn't an option for me at 40 years old. So we have to understand, like, this is recent history. The one drop rule has been law from 1920 until 2000. This isn't a during slavery thing.
Exactly, and that's why on my birth certificate it says what they say it is because it's because you are what your father. That's not really why. Let's be honest. I think one thing I want to cover too is white people getting comfortable around white passing Black people, like with their racism and their open racism. I was at a birthday party. I was like 8 years old, and this girl's sister. I went to her birthday party, but her brother and her grandpa were playing GTA, and so her little brother shoots this Black cop on GTA. And he was like, "Oh my goodness, I just killed a cop." And then her grandpa goes, "That's okay, he's Black." I looked this man dead in his eyes. I said, "My dad is Black." And just the silence on his face, and I called my mom so fast, "Please come get me from this house, bro." Because he couldn't tell, because when I was younger, I definitely looked a lot more white. So he was just comfortable. And then when I said that, that's why I think it's important for us to start making people feel uncomfortable. Like your little microaggressions and your implicit biases and this and that, that's not accepted here. You will be uncomfortable around me if you come sideways at Black women, Black men, the whole community, any other race for that matter. Like, we need to stop letting people be comfortable with their racist opinions and it's just because they're old, and because I don't care how old they are. You need to, it's learned behavior so you can unlearn it. Like, come on now, dude.
Facts. I agree, 100%. I agree.
I think too the problem with the divide between like light skinned women and dark skinned women is we're starting to invalidate each other. Like I've seen a lot of like these younger dark skinned women attack light skinned women, or light skinned women attacking younger dark skinned women. "Oh, you're not Black," or "Oh, you're too Black," this and that. And I feel like that also causes that like internal conflict. But I talked to my auntie, told me, she was like, "Girl, if anybody who has Black in them is Black. That's how it was back in the day." So the older generation is more like accepting of mixed people, in my opinion. I think the newer generation is the ones that are like causing the problem in the divide.
Absolutely agree.
But that's what I want to speak on that. So that's why, you know, the newer generation, we have the internet, and a lot of people are seeing this. A lot of like younger, you know, biracial people are seeing these things. "Oh, you're not Black," so they're trying to explore their biracial. Okay, well, if I'm not Black, I'm biracial. That's what happened to me. I was like, okay, let me explore my biracial identity, because I always identified as Black too, because that's how, you know, the world see me. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm not going to be accepted as, you know, Black, I'll just be biracial. So let me explore that. But then it's like, oh, well, that you can't be that either. I don't know. It's weird. So I was like, that's why I'll just embrace my multi-ethnicity, because you can't, because you can't deny that I'm multiple. A lot of people are. And, you know, I'm just going to embrace being multi-ethnic, and however, you know, the construct views me, that's how it views me. That's cool. And yeah, that's why I just came to the conclusion about, I just feel like I'm just multi-ethnic. Like,
yeah,
that's how,
and I've had white friends. I've had white friends like question me, like, "Why are you always defending Black people and this and that?" Well, what y'all have to understand is one side of my ancestors were oppressed by the other side. So of course, if it comes down to it, I'm gonna pick the side that was oppressed and defend them.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna.
You gotta choose humanity. You gotta choose what's right. You gotta do the right thing.
Exactly.
If there's an injustice within our community, you gotta speak up on it.
Yeah, an injustice is an injustice.
It's an injustice. Period. Yeah.
Right.
That's how I feel about you know, you know, sexual orientation, you know, girls, feminists, you know, as to red pill, somebody's overstepping on somebody else's boundaries. Race is the same, Blacks, whites. Somebody is overextending, therefore infringing on another person's, you know, respect, you know,
their own autonomy over their own.
Yeah.
That's what oppression is. When you try to take autonomy away from somebody else, so they can't make decisions over their own life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, that's what happened. So it's like, I'm all about freedom.
me siding with black people is not me saying I'm not white. I don't ever claim to not be white, but if it really came down to it, y'all would view me as just black. So it's funny to me that now that it's an issue going on between my two different sides, and I pick one side. Now you mad at me. But y'all view me as black though. So that's why are you mad at me for siding with the black
I don't
people?
understand that. I don't understand
Who's
either.
for siding with black?
Right. I want everybody to try to adopt, who could really shake your foundation? And if anybody could come in and take a brick out of your foundation and just shake your whole construct of who you are and how you want to be, then you got bigger problems. You know what I mean? Yeah. With that said, I gotta go, and Miss Magic's okay. You still haven't followed me. All right, all right, you guys.
Just waiting
All
right, follow me. Yes. Everybody follow me too. Everybody follow me. Thank you. You guys have a good one. I'll follow back. All right, y'all. All right, bye.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Lauren. What you got to say, girl?
Sorry about that. I didn't want to interrupt anybody.
You're good.
So my name is Lauren. My ancestors really basically just come from Spain and parts of Mexico and New Mexico. And that's from both my mom and my dad's side. Growing up, I was always told that I'm Hispanic and that my ancestors are from Spain. But I took a DNA test and I was very surprised to see indigenous percentages, and a lot of people who have ancestry in Mexico are ending up finding out that they have indigenous ancestors or some links to the Nawa speaking people. So I've been looking into that, and I've been, like I said, I've been seeing that most of my ancestors, or a big chunk of them, were indigenous. So it just seems like it all started when the Spaniards came to the New World, which some of my ancestors were conquistadors. They would take wives. Sometimes their wives would be native, and they had children with them. So yeah, I'm so I'm Mexican indigenous, and but yeah, basically growing up, it was race was something that I was very confused with. I don't see myself as black, nor do I see myself as white. So it's always been a really, it's not something that, I necessarily label myself as. I wouldn't call myself white, nor would I call myself black. But I know that there's people, there's a lot of people who identify with the black culture. What did you use to find this out? Okay, so I took Ancestry DNA results, but the thing is that your blood doesn't necessarily tell you any tribal affiliation or anything that you might hope that you might find. You really have to do the hard work for that. You have to look into records and documents. They might tell you that, oh, maybe this percentage of your blood is indigenous, but you have to do the hard work of looking into that. So yeah, I mean, I think race is experienced differently by everyone. I know for sure within the Mexican community, there's colorism, where lighter skinned people are favored more over darker skinned people, and that's been something that's been going on for a very long time. And I've researched my ancestors, and I know someone was previously talking about the caste system. A lot of my family members, they had, been marked as mestizos, or another term coyotes, and even, I think it was castizos, they were, just so they could be identified for how mixed that they were. I think coyote is meaning more indigenous than you are Spaniard, and then mestizo is half and half, Spaniard, and so it's one Spaniard parent, one indigenous parent. But anyways, like I was saying, I kind of know castizo is mixed. It's just a little bit further down the line. There's several caste terms. yeah, I mean, I just that's history. Because I live in New Mexico, and it really hasn't been that long since the caste system was used, but it still affected different people differently. There was Afro-Indigenous peoples. There was people of Asian descent with so yeah, I mean, I think that's all I have to say really on the matter. I That's my experience and my yeah, that's my experience on race and ethnicities.
You know what I got from that? You know what? Because like I said, in Latin America, they were complete opposite. They promoted race mixing for all these different reasons because they wanted to, breed out blackness
Right.
and a lot of different, right? But that's what produced all these caste systems because there was a lot more race mixing, right?
Yeah, right.
Huh. Because in America, they were the complete opposite. They wanted to never, it was illegal up until 19 to intermarry up until 1967,
Isn't that
right?
interesting? Well, I mean, it
It's
feels
like
like
the
a very
opposite.
normal thing. I feel like it's a very normal thing because they had called a lot of the peoples that lived here. I still live in the same town as the people, my ancestors who lived here like in the 1700s. They would, it was a normal thing. It was, mestizos were all around. It was mixing was normal. And so basically they called all these people Hispanicized natives. So that means, natives that were converted to Christianity, Catholicism, and sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Yeah, but I mean, it's a very, very normal thing, and like I said, a lot of Mexican peoples are ending up finding that they have more indigenous blood than they thought they had, because I don't think that they wanted us to remember our indigenous ancestry. They wanted eventually our ancestors, my ancestors, ended up just marking themselves as Spanish, and now it's Hispanic.
Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead, Maya. Maya said she wanted to say something on relations to that.
I just wanted to say something like.
And then I'm gonna let Isa go. But go ahead, Maya.
Okay, I just wanted to say something in relation to like the interracial marriages and stuff like that. It's different. I don't know if it's. I think it's pretty different with like the multiethnic versus biracial, like as far as interracial marriage, because mixed children were viewed as taboo. Like to this day, the KKK still says mixed children are the biggest abomination in the world because they feel that their white their white line of whatever is being poisoned. So that's why interracial marriage, and then another reason interracial marriages was so frowned upon is because during slavery, obviously, if a black woman got pregnant by a white man, it was SA. It wasn't like a consensual thing. It was SA, and that child was now they're poisoning the white bloodline, this and that. You know what I'm saying? So that's, I feel like in the black and white community, or in the white community, being mixed is still to this day kind of taboo by default because of what they taught during slavery, and because of even the rhetoric that the KKK teaches today about mixed children, like the term mulatto and all that, like that's all looped in with that. So being biracial, black and white, is like to this day to a lot of white people still like a a bad thing.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
All right, hold on, what is his name? Oh, I am Zay. Oh, what's up, Zay? Oh, you can go ahead and say what you got to say about this topic. You've been commenting. I want to hear what you got to say. Hold on, you there, Zay? I am Zay. But okay, I want to say, because maybe he's doing something, but I want to say about the taboo, like why, okay, so, white tea people, they really believe they're intellectually superior. They really believe that. They believe that mixing with the black person, they believe black people are intellectually inferior. They believe that, really. So that's why they think it's taboo. They think, oh, if we all start race mixing, I've seen white people say this, like I've seen them. They believe that if we all start race mixing, we're gonna dumb down our country, and then we're gonna just be a third world country. That's what they really believe. That's why I've heard them say that, like, these are all just comments that I've seen online, I say that, oh, that's why Latin America is so mixed up, because they're so mixed, and that's why they're all third world countries. Like that's what they really believe. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And
That's what they.
I don't like looping in the whole comparison between black and LGBTQ and all that, but that's honestly what's going on with white conservatives towards the LGBTQ community. They're like, well, if we're all gay, then how are we going to exist as a world and this and that? Like, bro, they love tokenizing things to prove to try to push their false narratives. Like it's not even in relation. So, and now you have white. Somebody tried to pay Serena Williams and LeBron James to breed a child that was athletic, a white person. Like, bro, now you turn around and say, oh, they have increased athletic ability and this and that. But back then, we was just savages and unintelligent and physically incapable. But that loops back to that Jim Crow stuff I was talking about and how their first impression of black people was an animalistic impression. Because that's what slavery and all the mindsets were built on. Like, if you look in that Jim Crow museum, dude, you see the crap that they had. And even with Aunt Jemima, the syrups, bro. Aunt Jemima, somebody said Aunt Jemima was a real black. No, it was based off the Mammy caricature. Come on now. People got to do their research, and nobody wants to because they don't care to be educated because it doesn't affect them. That's the problem.
And I do compare, like, I do feel like I relate to LGBT because the Bible, people try to use religion as why biracial. Oh, the two tribes, they can't mix. Like, there's like a quote in the Bible saying that, so people believe, oh, well, mixed race people shouldn't exist because the Bible says. Yeah. And then that's the same thing that happens in the LGBTQ community, that they shouldn't exist because the Bible says. So religion has been weaponized against everybody at this point. I mean.
Yeah, the only reason I said that about not liking to compare the black experience with the LGBTQIA experience is because although there was oppression on both sides, I see a lot of the extreme people in both communities, both heterosexual and under the LGBTQIA community, trying to push it as if their oppression it's the oppression Olympics that I don't like getting into. That's why I said that.
Right. No, I agree, man. But there is similarities that
there definitely is.
There is that, I definitely get that. Mm-hmm. But what's up, Zay? Go ahead, Zay.
Hey. No, I just wanted to say something y'all were talking. Okay, so me growing up, and I noticed this when it comes to mixed people, the reason why we have these race categories is because, a lot of people now didn't know that people were mixed so much now. Like, if you look at now, there's so many mixed children now, and a lot of people that, don't know which side to claim. And that's why we had these categories, because they wasn't expecting it to be so heavily influenced, interracial. And you rarely see two of the same people date now, two of the same races dating now. So a lot of people are saying that now their people are getting forgotten, and it's more so mixed is mostly more the norm. So now you have people saying that it's bad now, or trying to make it seem like we should stop mixing because a lot of people who look like them won't exist no more. I can see what they're saying, but then again, you can't tell somebody who they can't love. Now, mind you, I noticed this. People want to put people in boxes if you're mixed. Let me tell you something. I know myself. People say, well, whose side are you on? No, I'm Zay. I'm not you. You're not me. Yeah. You don't got the same upbringing. Don't put me on your stuff. That's the thing I don't like about these communities. They want you to be oppressed so bad and want you to be on their level because you like yourself. There's nothing wrong with liking who you are. That's what people need to stop doing. People, if you want to be known as being one, and that's you. And people don't know the difference between black. And I'm going to tell you something. If someone is black, right, don't you have to have two parents that are? Right? Regardless, if I had a dad that was black, right, I would tell people I'm black, like, and my mom is black, I'm black, like, nothing else, right? My dad isn't. So common sense, I call stuff like I see it. So the whole race identity is kind of stupid because, mind you, if someone is calling like they see it, like if a child says I'm Chinese and black as my parents, that's not an identity crisis. Identity crisis is if you're trying to be something that you're not, and you're trying to fill someone else's lifestyle because you're insecure with your own. That's what an identity crisis is. There's no crisis with someone liking who they are, and people need to stop doing that and stop trying to bully people. And I get mixed isn't a race thing now because of how the world perceive you as. Let me tell you, so growing up, when I was with my family, I grew up around my Hispanic side, right? The black side family, they weren't around. I was never really around them. I was grown up by them. I grew up in the Hispanic culture, household. They taught me about Cinco de Mayo, Hispanic Heritage Month. I was never around the black side of my family, right? Or because, I don't know, some issues they have with each other. Now, granted, people seen me and seen my dad. They said, okay, he's Latin. They like to throw that word out. I said, no, I'm mixed with both. It's like, well, they didn't even know I had black into me until they see my mom at school the first time. Everybody could see me as this brown Hispanic boy with, because they see me with my dad. My dad is not a white man presenting. he don't look like a white man or a black guy. So people look at him and be like, okay, he is Hispanic. Before this whole race thing and people talking about it, people seeing Hispanic, like when you walk down the street, you can tell a difference between a Hispanic person and a black person, right? So you do have Mexicans who don't look black or white, who look like the group itself, like the stereotype. That's why they perceive mixed people to be light. They perceive black people to be dark. They perceive white people to look like pale skin with blue eyes. They perceive natives to wear feathers. They perceive, everybody has a stereotype look. So when you see somebody who is a black, Hispanic, or Mexican come out and say, I'm Mexican, they look at you like, whoa, but you look black though. Because back then, we didn't have television. We didn't have television. We didn't have it where there was people like us on TV. You gotta remember that. There was not people like us on TV. There was not people that can show a whole diverse range. Now, we're starting to see Afro-Latinos. We're starting to see Latinos that are white. Back then, you didn't see that. You had like that one look for Hispanics, one look for black, Hawaiians. And one time I told this boy, before I write my plane, I told this guy I have Samoan in me. He said, well, how come you're not overweight? How come you don't have so many tattoos on your face? How come your hair is not all the way past your behind? Because everybody has a stereotype. How come your hands are not as big? How come people all thought, he said, how come your hands are not as bigger than a football? How come your lips aren't as giant as one of Samoan people? Like, some people have those stereotype looks. And when you don't fit that look, they wanted to say, well, you're not one of them because you don't look like that generic look that they see on TV. Mm-hmm. So you gotta understand, when people come at you and they tell you, well, I am mixed, like, it don't have to make sense to you. Y'all probably don't have to agree with that person. You're all thinking about society and how but if that person knows himself, him or herself, it shouldn't matter to you because that's their life. You don't know what they face. Their journey could be different from yours. My journey was different. I've never been racially profiled before, knock on wood. I've never been pulled over by a cop. I never once was accused of anything. I never entered. I've come across prejudice because a lady asked me, do I speak English right? And tried to be funny with me because of who my dad was, some dumb stuff. And she tried to call the cops because she thought my dad didn't live here and he couldn't speak proper English when he does speak English. He just spoke Spanish to his homies. But anyways, I didn't get into that. But like I said, if I'm liking who I am, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like people should respect what people go by. If y'all can respect people in different communities, when they tell you, I want you to identify me as this, y'all give them hold down respect. Give people that are mixed respect. I get it, mixed people, they look more one side than another. I get it. Trust me, I do. I've seen it. My dad is Hispanic and he married with a black woman. Look, and guess how I look? I'm a lightish brown. I'm a caramel. It happens. Sometimes the child can look more like this and that. So I don't think we should take their culture away from them just because we don't understand who they are. So I'm going to say that I'm going to wrap my plan on that.
All right. Thank you. All right. Go ahead, Brian. I wanted to speak after you. Wanted to speak.
He said how he was talking about like he's never experienced racial profiling and stuff like that. I haven't either as a mixed person because I'm more like white passing, but I think that the caste system definitely plays a big part into the mixed experience because I know like for my mom, I would get pulled over with my mom. I got pulled over her one time. The cop gave us bubbles and coloring books. Then I get pulled over with my dark-skinned father and he talking about he was swerving. Why are you elevating the situation? And that was I was like 6 years old when this happened. So that was my first look into how my different sides are treated differently. Like I knew that there was issues between the black and the white, but I didn't really, because back in our day, the history about black and white was sugar coated and it was twisted. We were taught that Christopher Columbus was a hero. We were taught that the Boston Tea Party was an amazing thing that helped America. We were like all these different things that were twisted and misconstrued. So I'm thinking, oh, it's just like a small issue between black and whites. But then when I saw what happened with my dad versus when my mom getting pulled over, that made me start looking into stuff. Now I'm doing research and stuff and like seeing different, why different things are the way they are. And I think being mixed, that plays into that internal conflict that you have with yourself again, because like that's when I started realizing that thing I said about how my one side of my ancestors own my other side. So I will say, like, I can't, like Zay said, he's not black or white, he's just Zay. Like when people ask him ask him why he's doing this and that. For me, I honestly, I identify more with my black side. And that may be based on how I was raised, based on the type of people I grew up around. But me personally, I identify easier with my black side because it's like, if it comes down to if there's an issue between white or black, one side oppressed the other, like I said earlier. So I'm kind of going to have to identify with my black side and defend my black side more. And that's why my dad sat me down when I was younger. He was like, all mixed kids have identity crisis. It's honestly the truth, because you start realizing I'm not just one race. Like, so I would go to or a ethnicity or a race. I would go to school and be like, oh, I'm Mexican, or they'd be like, I'm Native American, I'm this, I'm that. I'm thinking, well, I'm both. Like, I'm like the two races in America that had the biggest conflicts. So it was like a hard conversation to have. But that's why I think that a lot of mixed children have identity crisis.
It's hard being two things at once. Honestly, it's very hard being two things at once.
Especially when they have problems. Especially when one side oppress the other. Like,
I relate heavily when you say like one side of your ancestors were, oppressing the other. I totally relate to what you're saying. Like I said, I have a lot of indigenous ancestors, and I also have a lot of Spaniard ancestors. So, it's just like me, and probably with plenty other people out there who are in the same boat as myself. They probably, I don't want to say that I'm Spaniard, or I don't want to say that I'm indigenous. But like I'm kind of in that tricky situation there where it's like I'm not indigenous enough to be indigenous, or I'm not Spaniard enough to be Spaniard,
right?
Or that my ancestors are far too mixed for me to even think about having a tribal card or anything of that matter,
right?
So yeah, so it's kind of like a different type of identity. A lot of modern day people, are facing that. There's Afro-Indigenous people, there's, Mexican people with African heritage. There's like, and with like mixed race with, European ancestry and African American ancestry, it's very, I honestly can relate to that struggle. I just and I embrace both sides, right? Like I don't want to just say that I don't have Spaniard ancestors. Like, yes, I do. I do have Spaniard ancestors, and and whichever side that they might have been on, it's really interesting because I have a ancestor who was a Spaniard woman who was killed in the Pueblo Revolt by likely a Native American. But then I also have indigenous ancestors who were taken in as slaves and stolen and sold to, it's two different types of perspective. It's the fight over land. It's the going head to head over resources. It's the same
competition.
The hierarchy, who's on top, and the caste system was made so that the Spaniards, the pure-blooded Spaniards can keep their power, and everybody else who was mixed can be kind of like a little bit lower than that, and the less mixed that you are, the more higher you go up.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I heard something interesting, and I think that this is why being biracial in America is so weird, because the colonization of different groups is still happening. Like I watched this documentary, and this guy was somewhere in Africa where the transatlantic slave trade was going back and forth, over the sea to like take slaves captive and bring them back to America, whatever. He said, you will never go to like a Jewish community and see a Hitler statue, but you can come to Africa where people were taken and held hostage and captured and brought to America, and you will find statues in Africa of white colonizers. You'll find streets in Africa that are named after white colonizers. It's like it has become an erasure rather than just a genocide, rather than just slavery. It has become an actual like infiltration and an actual. It's weird. Like you will never go in a Jewish community and see a street named after Hitler, but you will go to certain parts of Africa and find streets named after white colonizers. So very weird.
They're taking down Spaniard statues all the time, and people are just like, okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, dude,
All right.
it's so weird. Like, dude. And then another thing that ticks me off about like Black history, I'm kind of like getting a little bit off topic, but I just want to get this off my chest. Another thing that ticks me off is like you'll go to impoverished areas that are predominantly Black, and those will be the streets that they name after Black activists. I don't know if y'all have seen that in y'all cities, but
I noticed that.
it will be
Really?
the projects. It will be the
I
projects.
noticed that.
Literally, like the street that has the highest crime rate will be named
I've noticed that.
Martin Luther King Street. You'll
Our
see
streets are named after conquistadors.
like, dude.
Yeah, it was a joke. It was a joke saying that. It was a joke talking about how bad. If you want the street you want to avoid is MLK Street because that's the worst street in the city. Like, yeah,
Right.
I've heard that
But
before.
guess what? The suburbs. Guess what? More like suburbs type streets are named. Washington Street, Jackson Street. Like, come on now. It's not. They're not even hiding it no more, bro. And that's what the Jim Crow. What am I talking about? Jim Crow stuff that happened. It's still going on in the media, regardless of if they changed it. Like the same way that they perpetuate the hypersexualization of Black women, the same way that they perpetuate violent rappers and Lil RT. I don't know if y'all have seen Lil RT. Somebody needs to whoop that baby. He on here rapping about sexual acts and stuff, and he's like 8 years old. He dropped out of school, but that's what I keep on telling people. Y'all keep on laughing at it, saying why isn't CPS getting involved? CPS isn't getting involved because they want that perpetuated. Because white people who don't have a lot of experience with Black people, that's their little that's their introduction to it. So this young Black boy clearly has no parental supervision, and that's why the media push. You will never see J. Cole, bro, for example. J. Cole is one of the most underrated rappers. You know why?
I love J. Cole.
Right, I love him because he raps about the important things. He raps about the important things. They want to portray black men as violent. They want to portray black women as being good for nothing but sexual things. That's why you see Sexy Red. That's why you see NLE Choppa. Like, come on now. It's very obvious. The veil is being lifted on all of this, y'all. Like, if you really watch and open your eyes, it's like an active. They're playing in our faces, pretty much.
I was on the live. Yeah, I agree with you. I was on the live. Somebody, it was like the prompt was, Black men were more expressive and open. They were openly able to express their feelings more to their women. Like, soul music back in the day. Marcus, all the beautiful, loving music that they used to be in the 70s and stuff, and then it got replaced by what we have today. Because that was promoting families and love and
even when NLE he started getting spiritual and he dropped that spiritual album and didn't do so good. They locked him up. I'm not no conspiracy theorist. They locked this man up, and the first song he made when he got out of jail was First Day Out with a picture of his mugshot. They paid for that mug. It's active. They're actively playing in our face. He was about to get spiritual. He's rapping about things that are actually important. He goes to jail, comes back, and the first song he drops, First Day Out with a picture of his mugshot. It's like a programming. Those humiliation acts they talk about are absolutely real. Like, come on now. They're playing in our face.
Who does this all benefit? Who benefits from people being oppressed? Exactly. That was what I was trying to say. I was like, this comes back to capitalism because it promotes people being divided. It promotes people being oppressed, promotes people a lower class because you need a lower class in order to work. Everybody can't be a fucking millionaire because there has to be the motherfuckers in the store working and shit. So yeah, that's really what it's capitalism. It is.
And in America, the lower class is whoever is darker. I don't care what anybody says, whether you're Mexican,
but it's also crazy.
A brown person, even brown people. You don't necessarily have to be Black. You could be brown and be Arab, or you could be Mexican, and you'll still be a part of the lower class because of how dark you are. Like all the people that are in charge and own all these corporations, they're all old white conservative men. Like, dude.
Yeah, I was on another live and they were saying, Black people, we got to stop this victimhood, this victim mindset. But if you look at there's individuals who are successful. You know what I'm saying? They could get up, own a real estate business, be millionaires, be successful. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But if you look at the overwhelming majority of how it's played, it's always the darker you are, the lower class on the bottom you are. You know what I'm saying? So it's that can't be an accident because capitalism can't survive without slavery. You can't.
Exactly. And they keep people. They have a way of keeping Black people in the lower class. I was watching this documentary about King Von. I'm thinking this is going to teach me about how violent Chicago is, this, and that. Dude, tell me why during gentrification, they told Black families in the poorer areas, if the dad moves out of the house, the rent is less. So black fathers started moving out of the homes, and these kids were left in violent areas with gangbangers. So you go downstairs and play outside. You're not playing outside. You're getting recruited, and it's either join or die. Either join or your family is the next family that's going to be robbed. So they pin people against each other. It was all a setup.
Then there's the military waiting at the schools to come talk to the young boys.
Because you know what people say, because they're like, point me to a law that's oppressing you. Where's the laws that are oppressing you? It's not about the laws, it's more about the social programming. If you're going to pump a community full of guns, violence and drugs, and all this music is pointing them to like, this is how people are socially programmed. How are they going to come up? How are they going to come up?
They teach you.
It's really your mindset. Yeah, it's really how people are brainwashed.
That whole concept of black people being unintelligent and all that's taught to people. So even if a kid wants to end generational curses, they teach you that you have so many obstacles in your way that you're gonna, which is true, you absolutely will struggle more than a white man will to get a corporate America job. But this keeps people in those mindsets. And they started, even the war on drugs, bro. Like, I'm not even gonna get into this too much. When they dropped crack in the streets in the 70s, it was where? Predominantly black areas. Then they started quote unquote war on drugs during Ronald Reagan's whatever. It was not no war on drugs, it was a war on black men. And that's why black men make up 25% of the whole world's prison population. This is modern day slavery. They're playing in our faces. Like,
it was a war against persons of color, because that's why they
exactly.
You remember back in like the 70s when it was like all these jobs, like you could get a job and provide for your family at like a factory and stuff like that. Like, so when they outsourced all of that too, like after, like, and then the 80s came and then people were just having to resort to like, selling, cause they pumped the company for the drugs. They sold the drugs and cause there was cause all the jobs got outsourced. You know what I'm saying?
And then they all work together. This is how it's capitalism though, cause they all work together. That killed two birds with one stone. That got private rehab to have more patients, and it also gave America a reason to continue weaponizing and criminalizing people of color. It killed two birds with one stone. Like, it's such a, like, if you're really looking at capitalism and how it has affected people of color and how they use people of color to perpetuate capitalism and to perpetuate their own oppression, we are actively perpetuating our own oppression. They're using us, like, playing in our faces.
Because everyone's like, well, you can make it. But if it's like, if you look at a system that fails like 90% of people and only 10% are living good or are succeeding in it, then it's a failed fucking system. Like, if the majority of people are failing in it, then it don't fucking work.
But a lot of people don't think like you guys. So, like, there's a lot of people who are like just sheeps, they don't, they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to make this much money so I can buy myself a nice car. You know what I mean? Like, just feeding into the whole,
and that music plays into that too, because now you see all the black rappers rapping about Hellcats and and these clothes. They don't rap about having no job. Like, they don't rap about actually building they rap about spending thousands of dollars on Hellcats. Then this kid will go to work for months and
they don't rap about only black-owned business.
Right.
Imagine you know how much influence that rappers have if they use that influence to support like black-owned businesses and stuff.
Right, exactly. But it's all illicit. That's what people don't understand.
The glorification of gang culture and all that. Yeah, that's a huge thing. It's really, 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 and like all the time, like where I grew up, there was a lot of glorification or romanticization. I don't even know if that's even the word for it, but just a lot of talking about like the cartel, like they're so bad, they're so cool, you know what I mean? Like, or they like that was like,
I had a Mexican friend that talked about that all the time.
Yeah, but I feel like it's just. These kids, they're so easily influenced that lifestyle is dangerous. Like, I'm not going to be like saying, oh, well, you're doing illegal stuff, that's bad. No, but that lifestyle is dangerous. Just like, any gangs, any sort
population control. It's population control. They don't want, they want to stay the majority. The majority keeps power. So they're going to promote that shit because they're gonna kill each other off, and then they're gonna remain the majority. I think it does have a new population control.
Y'all know what Tupac said. Y'all, that whole song changes. Go look into what he said. What did Gino mean in the comments by gang culture was appropriated from white culture? What do you mean by that? Please
Talking about
no
elaborate.
Chicago,
idea.
like who's that guy in Chicago? I forgot his name, but the
Vaughn.
Chicago gangster, the mafia, the Italian mafia.
I
Who is it?
forget
What was
his
his
name.
name?
I know what his
Which
name
one?
is. Got it.
You said
Hold
Italian?
on.
The
Yeah, he
Italian.
Italian.
There's from where?
Ooh.
What was it? Where was he in? Like, where did he live?
Gino, can you elaborate in the comments while they're looking for that? I just want to make sure I'm reading that right before I respond.
I don't know. I was kind of like, what?
Yeah, I'm kind of confused. I just wanted to elaborate.
So the Italian mobsters that I know of, Capone,
Al Capone.
Al Capone, George Whitey Bulger. It was, I think he was Italian, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was during the Prohibition era.
What?
That was during the Prohibition era when it was illegal in the 1920s, and it was illegal to sell alcohol. So they were like making alcohol and selling it illegally. Yeah.
I'm blanking out.
Dude, I know his name. I feel like I know exactly who you're talking about because I know his
I feel
last
like I don't
sounds
know.
Italian.
I feel like I don't know.
Italian.
I'm sure it is Italian.
Street gang lifestyle we appropriated from white. Are you saying that Black culture took it from white people? Is that what you mean by appropriated from white people, or was it appropriated by white people?
Street gang lifestyle is appropriate. Are you talking about? But are you talking about the Al Capones, like in the Chicago? They were like the underground. Like, is that what you're talking about?
Me?
I thought you. Who was asking about the Italian gangster or something?
Yeah, that was in Chicago. Because you know how Chicago's so known for like a lot of gang violence and stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
So was that appropriated from white culture because they're gang banging?
Oh, I see what you mean. I see. Okay, so I don't know, but like, what's the street gang? Like, I don't really know the history of that, so I can't really speak on that. Do you guys like?
Street gangs to me, like the difference between street gangs now and like what it used to be is it used to be like the mob. Like you'll see those movies and they're like wearing jeans and like leather jackets and they like talk with a certain accent and they're they call them like sleazers or something like that. I think that's what like was before, but now in Black culture it became violence because that's what narratives were perpetuated about.
When did that association with like the word ghetto like come in? Like that's what I'm wondering. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know how they say, "Oh, modern day gangsters don't have class" or whatever.
I don't think that I have never heard that. I've heard that they don't have a code, which is absolutely true. They have no loyalty. I've heard that. I haven't heard about class.
It was something about like what they wear, or like, oh, remember when gangsters used to look like this and now they look like this?
Yeah, they've definitely. I think that's just like social norms and like I definitely see like with the way that Black men dress and stuff when they say that it just I don't know.
It's not a good lifestyle. Like it's dangerous. Like you see people who come out of prison and they always tell the young kids, "Don't do it. Don't go down this path."
The reason the ghettos were mostly white before 1940 is because Black people couldn't really own land like that. So they didn't really have ghettos full of.
They moved to the trailer park, huh? The poor white folks.
I'm trying to figure out what he's saying. I can't decide. Like, are you? I just cannot figure out what angle he's coming from. What ethnicity are race?
Hold on. I can't. I don't think he has enough followers. Come up here. Oh, he does. I'm gonna invite him up.
He does.
Okay, I'm gonna invite him up. Because I want to be educated about this. This is interesting.
I don't know what angle he's playing from. Hello?
Hello.
Hello. What's up, Tino? You there?
Orange today. Yellow and orange the same. So that's fine.
Hello?
Hey, you there? Yeah, we can hear you. You can't hear us?
Yeah, what's that? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, yeah. We would like to hear your stance and to explain what you mean, how it's appropriated from white culture, white tea culture, whatever.
Appropriated might be the wrong word. We kind of like assimilated into it. because we had to move into those areas, and those
Because of like
things were already happening.
desegregation? Oh, from like
Yeah, they were
desegregation?
right. They were already happening.
Yeah.
So we kind of assimilated into that behavior, and we kept it up until now. But street gangs, as we know it now, as starting in Chicago, started with I think they were Polish and Hispanics.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good point because you think that since desegregation, that YT and people that they learn like negative aspects of each other's culture and inappropriate or not appropriated, but adopt it. Like we're adopting negative aspects of YT culture since we're desegregated. Is that right?
Yeah. That's basic. That's basically it. Yeah. We
That makes sense.
continue to. Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm gonna drop because I'm at work, but I love you.
Okay.
What you guys are doing.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you guys.
Thanks for coming up.
I do not know how to get out of here.
Oh, I'll drop you. Let me see. I always forget. Right here. How do I drop people? Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm gonna drop them. All right. That's a good point though. That's something to think about.
I think the reason went from like how Lauren said like gangsters used to look like this is that. I think the reason that it changed from that and kind of just being a group to being violent is because that's the rhetoric that was pushed on the Black people, that we were violent and that we if they don't kill us, we'll just kill each other. That was pushed onto us before slavery even ended. So yeah, I think that's why it went from being like kind of a group of people in a community to being so violent and being so, you feel me?
Yeah, but I think the point is there's a lot to unlearn, right? We gotta call out all these social programming that that's what we have to change, the social conditioning, the social programming, that's gonna take generations, but
And I don't know how old you are, but I know like I've been researching and making myself learn even about different cultures, not necessarily just
I learned about
other cultures. Like I took it upon myself because I realized in school like they would teach us like, oh, Native Americans, they just came over here and offered to let them live with them, join it, but it was really join or die. And they like mentioned that in school, but they didn't teach us what it meant. And as a kid, you hear that and it's like, oh, but when you get older, you realize these people were not friendly, like in a friendly manner, invited to come join the white people. The white people took their land and then said, if you don't join us, we will kill you. That's the difference. Like,
you know what I learned? You know what I love learning about? Because I like learning about like mixed race experiences. I talk about that a lot. So I learned that there's people have been like, it's nothing new. When people say, oh, mixed race people, like this is going back since humankind. Human people have always been traveling around, and a lot of it is by force. Yeah, when other people conquer.
But even before that, there was interbreeding between different types of humans.
Yeah, and
so it got even more diverse.
But there's always been new cultures and new communities that have, like the Romani, like they're Indian, that they migrated from India to Europe, and they face a lot of oppression and things like that. The Coloreds in South America, they're a result of colonization and different, but they have their own community, their own culture, their own identity. So there's a lot of that, like all around the world, of like people, mixed people that end up just sticking with their own, because I guess that's natural as humans, right? So yeah, like the Creoles too. The Creoles, they had their own community and culture in America. So I think that's an interesting part of history that we're not taught about. We're not taught about all these different.
I think too with what's going on in like Palestine and stuff, like how Biden said America stands with Israel, this and that. I saw a video of a Black guy talking, and he was like, the way to find out if you're on the right side of an issue is to find the Black people. And basically what he meant by that, he said find the Black people in the situation. What he meant by that is find the group that's being oppressed. So I looked into it, and I'm seeing Israel and America are basically working together with other countries to ethnically cleanse a group of people. To ethnically cleanse. So while Biden preaches about him being a Democrat and this and that, and freedom for women's rights, he's participating in another. That's what I like. America loves to throw rocks and hide their hands. They love to do that because even in school, as a Black person, we learned about we learned about the Holocaust like it was just important in American history. It's very important. It's a horrible tragedy, but it's because it wasn't at the hands of America. They taught us that more than they went into slavery. They taught us the deep and disgusting details of the Holocaust.
There's still information that is trying, there's those protests in Florida where they're trying to, practically erase Black history from, the curriculum, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
It's like, how are you not going to teach certain parts of history? Like they say, like, if you don't teach history, history's doomed to repeat itself.
Exactly.
And it honestly, like, there's still a lot of things that aren't being taught still. There's still a lot of things that are still being discovered and not even implemented into the curriculum yet. Yeah, what's up?
But you know what I know? Different response to Ukraine in Russia. You know how it's two YT groups, right? Russia's trying to come over here and take over Ukraine and take that land, and they're the ones being like colonized and oppressed by Russia. But everyone is like, we stand with Ukraine. We stand with Ukraine because they're both white, so white people can identify with them more. But when it comes to Palestine, they're brown people. So it's like, we stand with Israel because
what I think it is, and I'm just gonna say it from my perspective, or from anybody who supports the military or who is really pro-government in that perspective. I think what they do is that they see, they with the little minds that they have, that they see Middle Eastern people, and they probably associate them with the stereotypes.
Exactly.
Can I say
and so they're like, oh, yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I'm going to interrupt you, but there was this man I watched on this podcast, and he went on live, right? And I was telling my brother about it, and he said this, which threw me off and threw everybody off. Now, granted, a lot of people understood what he was saying. Some people didn't. He was saying that we need to stop claiming mixed people as Black people, because he said that's taking away from real Black people like me. Mind you, and people were thinking about what he was saying, and he's saying that, and this is what he said. His mouth was a Black man. And then there was people that were agreeing with him. There was a Black woman also who reposted the video and was talking about it. So he was saying that, mind you, my mom is Black and my dad is Black. I am a Black man, right? That's who I want, and I want more people like me. Right. And all this mixing, people like me are gonna be extinct. And he said you have so much mixing now, you don't know how to claim these people, because it's like, we didn't expect America to mix so much. Everybody, that's why we have these race categories. That's what I was saying. And he also said that it's like, when you take Asian and you mix with Black, then you say, oh, that's a Black person. You're taking away from people like me, that make people make it seem like, okay, well, that's Black. No, that's not real. That's not a Black man. A Black person is two Black people. So he was saying, and mind you, do I agree with him? I mean, to an extent, yeah, because it's like, and then I have to think about it. Am I taking away from real? Because mind you, when you do have mixed people, and a lot of America, they don't know how to categorize people like us. They say, well, if you look like this, and it is really ignorant how America thinks, and that's why America is kind of falling, because they didn't think that people would mate so much from different cultures. Like, I think it's beautiful. So I feel like, America should fix that. They should have an option for people that are mixed or something like that. Because it's like you're taking away from the actual people itself, and it's like, when you
totally heard that before.
It was a lot of this guy on podcast.
Yeah, I agree with part of it, but I feel like, to me, if you're like 25%, that's understandable. But for me, I'm half Black. I don't know what type of white. I know I'm like Irish on my white side, but I know I'm half Black because my dad is fully Black, so I'd be half Black. So to me, if I'm a half Black person, that automatically to me would make me Black, because in slavery times they said even people who are 1/4 Black were Black. So to me, for him to say that kind of goes against the whole history that we have.
I get what he's saying.
No, I get what he's saying for sure.
Because I heard this argument before too. A lot of people on YouTube talk about this. There's this girl. She was saying, "Oh well, the image of blackness is becoming lighter and lighter and lighter," and that like especially especially in media representation, that like there's Zendaya, there's Zendayas, and
that's what they were talking about too.
Represents black, and yeah, I've heard that argument a long time ago, and I was like, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I would want maybe it'd be better if biracial people they're represented as biracial, black people are so black, especially affects black women a lot more because it's like they like to always push biracial women as black women, and yeah, that's a genuine. I was like, what, that makes sense. Like that, they're pushing out black women and replacing them with biracial women, and a lot of black women don't want that. They don't want,
right.
Yeah.
If you think about movies, they say Zendaya represents black women. She's like, well, she's black and white. The man says that's insulting because it's like we don't see dark skinned women on movies claiming, oh, that's a black woman. That's a great black woman actress. It's always the black actresses that are mixed.
And I fully agree.
And I just said to myself,
colorism.
That comes back to the colorism. It absolutely does.
I see what he was saying.
Yeah,
I agree
it's more
with
so
him.
with black women because you still have the Edris Ibas, the Morris Chestnuts. You still have those men that are represented. I don't know how dark skinned men feel about this, but I don't feel like they identify with like Drake's. Like that's the issue that I've heard that a lot of like
too good. They can hear you in
women.
the background.
Oh really?
Yeah, but I just wanted to also tell y'all like my dad. He told me about my lineages and. I was so like amazed that I come from a lot that I can share, and what I don't understand is people try to tell you, well, you're not part of that culture because if you don't practice it. And I told this one person who said it to me, I said, well, that's like me telling someone that is born in America that is Chinese, right? And I said, do you practice your culture, your religion? He says no. And that person had told me that. He says, no, I'm American. Like I don't even know about all that. I'm just a Chinese American, right? Do I take that away from him? And I also had a friend that was black, and I said, well, you are, and my friends made jokes. It was like, bro, you look white. He said, no, my parents are all black. We seen his parents, and I said, oh, wow. And he looked more like a white passing person. So, but that don't mean I take away his black card. I mean, he is, so at the end of the day, if people don't look like the stereotype viewpoint on how people genuinely see you as, like people see Mexicans as they own, white people don't look at them as one of them. So, and they basically have said that. So if that's the case, Mexicans wouldn't have slurs. Mexicans went through hardship just like black. So then again, we should have better options, to help them because a lot of people don't want to be a part of these.
We need to be inclusive.
Like we need to be more embraceful. Like we can't just have these categories because a lot of people don't confine in these categories. I don't mean they're anti, it's just they don't want to be in these boxes. And I feel like we should have more of a expansion, more, because some people say, okay, well, I'm from Africa, and the man says, I'm not a black man, I'm Nigerian. So he's not saying that he doesn't like being black. It's just the fact that he goes by where he grew up in. And for people like that, they should be more like kind of considerate and be like, well, okay, well, you can put this down instead of, wanting them to be in their box. That's where a lot of division, that's where a lot of people don't want to have anything to do with us because they feel as if we want to exclude them from their true selves. We need to stop doing that because it's like, you have people who don't want to be in our categories. And the way our community, I'm not going to lie, the way I see a lot of BOK, not all of them, but the ones I've talked to, make it seem like if you're black, you're this, you're that, like in a negative way, like you're oppressed. And then you have people who might resemblance black, don't want to be part of black because they look at that as, okay, well, you're black, you're poor, you're America hates you. And that's why a lot of people want to run away from acknowledging having black in them because certain communities.
Did he get a call or something?
Maybe get a call.
Black have the lowest. So, and then again, we need to stop trying to put our own people as lower and put white people on top of us. We need to start telling them that being more uplifting our own people instead of bringing them down. That's why a lot of people kind of run away from the blackness because it's more like
it's the racial hierarchy.
We need to stop doing
white
that.
supremacy.
I wanna go back to what Lauren said about how even with brown people, like in our schools and stuff, we kind of had an image of them. I have noticed going through school that America has a way of making everyone who's not white seem like like people who make like I don't know if you can use the word on here. The T word that's like associated with Islam and stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's because when it comes to brown people, when it comes to Palestine, that's another thing that was taught super heavily. 9/11.
So villainized.
Right,
It's
and
villainized.
9/11 was awful. We'll admit that. We know that 9/11 was
propaganda
awful.
and
But it's the idea,
Iraq.
And it's that idea that brown people who are Muslim and participate in that culture are automatically associated with that T word. Like I would be in school and we'd be learning about 9/11. We would have one brown kid in our class, and everybody turns around and looks at the brown kid like, "Oh my goodness!" Or you'll see somebody come in with their outfits. Yeah, some people come in with like their hijabs, and they'll come in and they'll have like a bag with them or something. I'll hear a white person be like, "Oop!" Like those are that's
so funny, right?
Right. Those
like
are those
funniest
implicit
thing
biases.
ever.
Right. Like, dude, it's implicit biases.
You know what else people also need to stop doing is when you have a child, like this is for white people, stop trying to tell their mixed child that, and when you introduce your child that is mixed, I hate when they say this. This is, hey y'all, this is my black child. That is weird to me because it's like, why are you trying to say? Like, that's like, that's what I'm saying. And then they say, well, they don't like it when I say my child is black and white, so I say my black. Then again, you can't get mad at them for doing that because it's like, then on top of that community, the black community would tell them, well, you should be talking about black people businesses and our thing. But then they get mad when you don't teach your mixed child how to be black. It's kind of weird. It's really weird to me because it's like you can't get mad at them because they're trying to comply with you and try to work with you. They're saying, well, this is my...
No, you know, America, it practices hypo-descent. You know what hypo-descent is?
Never heard of that word.
So the word hypo-descent, if you look it up, so if a mixed race person, their racial category is automatically categorized to the one that's like socioeconomically lower than it. Like, you know how like biracial people who are mixed black and white, their hypo-descent is always categorizing as the black group because that's like the more in the hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? It's called hypo. Look it up. It's very interesting. I was like, wow, that's what America practices though.
Have y'all seen those white women? I had a teacher and she like asked me like, are you mixed with something? And I was like, yeah, I'm black and white. And she was like, mixed babies just have like the best genetic pool and they're just so pretty with their little purple skin, their curly hair, and their green and brown eyes. I was like, bro, please get out of my face.
I was told that because I'm a caramel look. I'm caramel.
And you will see white women will basically find a black man and it's almost like breeding. Like they purposely are with the black man simply because they want their children to look this way, not because
be mixed babies.
And then they tokenize their mixed. They will be around black people and be like, oh, I can't be racist. My kids are black.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like, but then again, y'all, some of them try to say, well, how do I bring, and then you have the black community that tell them, well, say you're black children. So then again, we also got to look at our own community because we push that for them to say. Like my dad, he never said, this is my black son. He said, these are my kids. Because it's like, and a lot of this man said, well, how do you teach your black children? He said, first of all, don't call my sons black children because mind you, they are mixed. Mind you, they have my genetics, they have their mom's genetics. So the fact that you're putting it as if I have pets, like it's like you're looking at them as like they're your
but
pets.
it's like the same concept as like stepsisters. Like if you ever tell somebody like, hey, this is my half sister, they'll be like, just say your sister. Just so unnecessary to give that descriptor. Just say your sister. You don't need to come up and this is my black child.
Yeah.
My mom always referred to me as mixed.
That's what my mom referred to me as too.
Yeah, just like, and I feel like people should stop trying to make people say what they want, but then when they do say it, y'all say it's tokenizing, or y'all say they're trying to they want to fantasize, or they want to it's a fetish. No, it's the fact that if you're telling them, hey, address my child as a black child, and they say, address your children as black because America won't see them as black. They're doing that, but then when they do say it, y'all get mad and say, well, but then what's the difference between a black mom with a white man? They have mixed children. They say, this is my black child. Y'all have no problem with it. But then a black man and a white
It
woman.
says more about the person. It says more about the individual who puts it into focus. Who puts it into focus? That person. It says more about them. Hey, this is my black baby. You know what I mean? Like if I have a black baby and I'm like, this is my black baby. It says more about me than anything. rather than not even acknowledge it and just go about it. This is my son. This is my daughter. You know what I mean? Like,
My parents
it's
never
for
did
real.
that. My parents never did that. They literally
Never.
just like,
I've
people
never
see
been
my-
introduced to. Oh, this is my mixed kid.
Yeah, no, I
Ever.
haven't either.
That's weird.
Hey, how often does the
necessary.
topic of ethnicity come up with you guys? Because like
A
I
lot.
literally never talk
Comes
to
up a lot.
anybody about my ethnicity.
I don't either.
Oh, wow.
I don't either.
Unfortunately, I would love to have that conversation, but like I feel like I don't run into that conversation a lot.
Right. I think most of the people here do way more than us because I look like mainly Latino. It's not really
Yeah.
Y'all see-
yeah.
right.
see-
Right.
Okay.
So it's more
True.
prominent
Y'all see
for their
them?
everyday life.
No,
But is this
right
true?
there.
In the,
Is that
I've heard
is he
people
white person?
say in the Latino community in South America that people don't really talk about race like that.
No.
South America?
They don't. Yeah, in South America, it's like it's not really. something
Yeah,
that
they
really
don't. They don't.
Can I?
There's biases from the older crew. You have
you
no
see that?
clue how racist the
I
older
know
ones
more
are here.
about the North American perspective of things.
Y'all see my cousin right
Only
here.
because I'm kind of a little bit disconnected.
Yeah, I
I've
see
heard
your cousin
Latinos
say.
say. Yeah,
Is he
'cause
white
Latinos
though?
say,
Like if you look at him, is he a white person?
No, he
Let me
doesn't
see.
look
Can
white
I
to
see?
me.
No, that looks
He
like
might be
that
white
looks
with a
like
good tan.
that looks like somebody I probably could go to school with.
Okay,
That's a future baby. That's a future baby.
Hold on.
now. And
Wait.
then you look
Let me
at-
see again. Can I see again, please, real quick?
Okay, now that's my home,
Eyes.
That's your who?
Pretty
My cousin.
eyes. Like.
and this
like,
right here, and look at
Is it
this
like
part.
different type eyes?
Who said he
No,
was
you
white
look at-
passing?
Color?
You asked if he was white passing?
Yeah, people I looked at now. That's me, right here.
He's
No.
not white passing him. Y'all are,
No.
neither of y'all are white passing. This is very obvious.
So people say that, well, it's your cousin. What's it say on his ID? I say he's not a white passing. Now look at this. People see me, right? People see me, and they do the. Oh, my bad. And they do this. Hold on. And I say, okay, let me hit y'all with a quiz, right? I literally told them, hold on, let me fill this up. I had some proof right here. They literally said, okay, so if you had, now this is my oldest sister. That's my oldest sister, right? Is she younger than me? She younger than me. So look at her, right? Is that a white woman? Because her dad is Hispanic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
my whole thing is, in America, what would you classify these two?
She look mixed.
You look mixed to me.
Mixed.
So you see how
Not white
you see all
passing.
three of us, right? Do we look alike? You see how all three of us are kind of
Different kinds of like skin tones.
right?
Me and my
Different skin
sisters.
tones.
Me and my sisters. My little sister is darker.
Oh my gosh, my brother looks nothing like he's
dude.
very like does not look like me. I want to show my brother. Hold on.
Wait, can I reply to this comment real quick? She said, "What about biracial people that do say I'm black but are told they aren't because of the lighter skin tone?" Baby, I'm gonna tell you, 9 times out of 10, that type of comments like that is gonna come from a white person that has no business telling you how black or white you are. And I have never had a black person come to me and invalidate my blackness. They accept me and they embrace me. I've never experienced that from a black person. It's usually white people
It's mostly
who have
online.
no business, who have no
Now-
business commenting on that.
I know. Right now, I can't show my face right now because I don't look good right now. That's on me on my good day. That's me on my good day.
Oh, you
'Cause-
handsome.
Thanks.
Period.
So they were saying, so my cousins was like, well, people be like, well, when they saw my sister, this one lady said, well, your brother's black. This one lady, and my sister turned around, she was like, and then they said, well, you know, it's then they got mad at my sister because she had braids. One of my sisters were in braids, so she said that y'all need to stop trying to. She was trying to pick a fight with us, and I'm trying to. I said, hold on now, don't disrespect my family. She's gonna try to call me a sellout. She said, well, how are you gonna be on their side? I said, wait, hold on. That's my family though. Like you're reaching because it's like you don't know if they.
Because your sister had braids?
And they're saying that they're trying to pick a fight with her because she had on braids and she was wearing them and she was.
This in real life?
Yeah. So I said, hold on. I said, wait a minute. I know y'all ain't trying to fight over some. I didn't even know what was going on. I was trying to ask them. They were saying
Those random people or like people you knew?
Random. I didn't even know this lady. She just walked up and tried to have an argument, and I'm just like, what?
Crazy.
I'm like, what? I said, wait a minute. Hold on. I said, I know dang well you're not trying to pick a fight with my sibling over
Braids,
because they're wearing
rainbow.
braids. And I said, there's worse things to talk about. As soon as I say that, people say that, oh, he's being problematic because he said there's worse things to be talking about. There is. And they said that how come I'm a man not trying to argue with over some. What kind of man I look like? That's my brother right here. That's my other brother. He's like, I'm the middle. That's him. And you know, look at his hair. Like all of us have different looks. Like all of us have like we carry a few genetics. Like me and my brother have the same hair.
What?
You know,
That's real because look, mixed people come out anyway. So it's like me and my husband are both mixed, right? So all our kids came out different phenotypes. But according to this social construct in America of race, we're all different races. So me and my kids, we're all different races according to so it's weird. It's like, okay, so we're all genetically related, but we're all like different races because we all look different. It's weird. It's very weird.
Wait,
I don't know.
Am I tweaking? She said her mom is Puerto Rican and her dad is Jamaican, but she still gets told she's not black. White people might view your dad as black if he's like visibly darker, but I don't think Jamaican is African American. Visually, yes, to white people.
This is my brother, and then here's me. So I don't know. He's light. He's light. He's like light, and I'm dark.
No, but that happens. That definitely happens. In like people get questioned, like, "Hey, you don't really look like me. So are you really black?" Like that definitely happens. It's very.
But y'all, am I tweaking though? Like I'm asking y'all, like, is Jamaican isn't African American?
It's a nationality.
Right. So she said she's getting told she's not black because of her skin tone. Well, you would get told you're not Jamaican because of your skin tone. I don't know about.
No, Jamaicans are different. There's white Jamaicans. There's a lot of because that's a nationality. That's not.
Yeah, black is African American. Black is just
a majority though.
White people.
Jamaicans black people are the majority. African people of African descent are the majority in Jamaica. So that's there is. Yeah,
that's true. But that's the difference between African American because black is a predescriptor for African American.
But then you gotta think about what about Arabic?
There's another picture
because
that's brown.
Let me see. Hold on.
So look how light my brother is.
Oh, that's my son is like that skin color, and then my daughter's that
light. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the same mom, but we don't have the same mom. But it's funny how we're like closer in skin tone. Yeah.
That's cute, bro.
But that's what's confusing. That's what's confusing about being mixed, because according in this social construct, we go off of color, so it's like everybody's different races in our family. I don't know. That's.
I mean, my grandfather, he was from Mexico, straight
just
from
like
Mexico.
Dogs come out different.
So he
a lot of dogs come out different.
So we have the same grandfather, right? So let me show you a picture of my grandfather. Hold on. Let's see. I have to look for it. But yeah, my grandpa, he's very, very dark, very dark. He came straight from Jalisco. He does, honestly, I wouldn't even say that he even looks Latino.
Is
honestly, here, I haven't really gotten that far yet, but I mean, I'm tracing his lineage pretty far. It's kind of like the same kind of weird situation, the mestizo, all that kind of.
They look indigenous to me. Or black.
But look at his hair. Look at his hair. Look at his hair, though. Like,
yeah.
No, I think what it was.
On your DNA test, did it come out with African DNA?
Here, watch. I'll show you it. Yeah, I have it right here. Just a small percentage. Not very much, but just it's there, but it's not like a huge percentage. Watch, I'll show you.
Is Kayla Queen still watching? Are you still here? Because I just want to.
What about Arabics, y'all? Arabics come from Africa, so what would they claim as? Because you have like Egyptians that don't.
Well, that didn't work out, right?
That don't paint the.
They would be brown. They just call them brown. I don't know why that.
Can't move that around.
What about in America? What about America? Because like you have Egyptian people who don't have like white features, who don't have black features. So what would they claim in America?
Are heavily mixed too.
Yeah.
Very big mix. Yeah.
So they don't like America. It's like they say they're African American.
African American when they come to America. Usually not.
That's why we say we should have bigger options. We should have. They don't want to identify as race. We should put other. We should have. Like if they have other.
Did that make sense? What I said. Did that make sense?
Can you shrink it and see if it works? If you can see it, because I think you might be able to see if you shrink it.
Jamaican in America isn't.
It's all tiny.
Hold on, let me try to flip the panel around.
I
Hold
can
on.
see it a little bit.
I can't see it. Hold on. Maybe I could go this. Maybe I can see it
there
better.
you go.
Yeah. Indigenous.
Yeah.
Spanish. What is basket? What is that? I've never seen that.
That's I think that's I almost want to say indigenous people of Spain, but like I don't I think it was like a very ancient civilizations
Oh.
like Spain.
I find it crazy that they still call them Bantu people. That was a term used in apartheid in South and North Africa when they had the kind of segregation type thing. They still refer to them as Bantu people, which is a
Where's
type
that
of
on? Let me see.
African, I guess.
Oh, Bantu people. I heard that was just a word that meant people.
No, it
Like,
was
it doesn't mean like a
Bantu.
tribe.
Like I don't know if y'all watched The Color of Friendship growing up, like where the South
Oh yeah, I
African.
remember that.
Yeah.
She said Bantu
Yeah, she's
was
South
like
African.
Bantu people was like But Killer Queen she said she didn't hear me. I said, is he Jamaican and black? Because in America, Jamaican and black is a term that's used to describe African American. 9 times out of 10, like predominantly in America, that's what black is used as. So unless he's Jamaican and black, you would just, if people tell you you're not Jamaican, then that would be weird because like, oh, you're too white looking to be Jamaican. That would be weird. But if he's just Jamaican and not black, that wouldn't make you black. If he's, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if that makes sense. But you'd have to, in America, the term black is used for African American, if that makes sense.
I thought that, okay, black, I thought that meant like all people of African descent. But in America, it is used for like African American people. Cause I thought if you say black, like there's black, like Jamaican, like I don't know.
Africans do not identify themselves as black or African American when they come to America. Even when they come to America, honestly, they don't mess with us. Black is AA. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was just trying to clear that up so I'm not telling her the wrong thing.
They don't. They have a different construct, right, over in Africa.
Yeah, no. It's the whole diaspora thing. History's repeating itself. Now they're trying to separate black people from it, which makes sense because we are mixed with white people. You feel me? But
how you doing, Nay from Africa? What's going on with you?
I think Maya, the black or African American includes the black part includes everybody. I'm from Eritrea. I'm from East Africa, and then usually when I'm asked that kind of questions, I always take black or African American because I'm black. I'm also African, but so that is what it's basically written for me. But if I was asked my ethnicity, I would answer my ethnicity. But as a race, I'm black and I'm African.
Right. I'm not speaking for all African people.
So it's not like the way you're. Some people they might not actually identify as black because, for example, the point is not being black. For example, we came from a black continent, right? But black is a term over there. Everybody is black, but we have our own tribes, ethnicities. So we are called by ethnicities. When we come here, we're learning a new category. For us, a new category. There is no category black in Africa. There's only categories of ethnicity.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because I had African friends like growing up, whatever, and they would like tell me, "Oh, I'm Nigerian. I'm this." And that's like the different countries inside of Africa, whatever. But I didn't. When she asked that, I'm like, I don't think African people usually associate as black until they do come to America because they associate with their tribes or the country they were from. But technically, like, black
it's not that though. Even over there, they associate with their own tribes. If not only here, even over there. They mostly associate with their own people. Every ethnicity. But when we come here, there's a big gym pool. So like a big group. That's like, hey, black or African American, Hispanic, non-Hispanic, right? So it's like very big over here. Over there, we have like a small tribes, ethnicities.
Right. There's more like categories basically. They're not categories, but like more identification.
The black is
you guys are homogenized.
Major black, major black. Within that black, there are a lot of tribes, a lot of ethnicities, a lot of categories within.
Right.
So
but that's what I was saying.
So that's what I'm saying.
That's what I was asking when I said that, because I'm like, I don't think that black is usually used because they identify with their tribes and stuff until they come to America. Like that's not really a thing, and that's why I've seen more recently. Like I've seen African people from different tribes getting on social media. When I was talking about the diaspora and stuff, there's like a big divide going on right now. Not with all Africans and not with all African Americans. There's like a big divide going on right now with like little subgroups though, where they're saying, "Oh, I'm African. I'm not African American. I'm African American. I'm not African." Like they're like fighting with each other. I'm like, bro, like
that is basically because of the that was like 7 months ago, or 8 months ago. Started somehow. Somebody was actually talking about that, and then that was basically between. It was saying between. They this time they have a term called Bantu that includes every black. They say every black for themselves. So we are the darkest, so they think that they think that they are indigenous to Africa, and then everybody who came into Africa as if they are not African. That was the discussion that heated. It was a heated moment. A lot of things actually. It went like for 6-7 months. But it's not about being African or non-African. Everybody's African if you are from Africa. It doesn't matter. In Africa, we have a lot of people from not only who are originally from there, even migrated to it or mixed with something. So
and didn't this term Bantu?
Imagine like if you go to, for example, to Latin America, most of them are actually either migrated from Spain or mixed with Spain. They're Spanish people.
Didn't the term Bantu come from apartheid?
They are Latin Americans and they have their own nations. So there's like, I'm Mexican, I'm Guatemalan, I'm a Honduran. So that's how they identify themselves. And then within that, that's a nation. Between that, they have also their own tribes. I'm from this tribe. I'm from this tribe. So in Africa, the same thing. So, but I would see it this way. A lot of people within, for example, there is like so common ones are like, hey, they would talk about Somalis, about Eritreans, Ethiopians, Egyptians, the northern African countries, most of them. Because kind of like because it comes to the shade of color where you are in black anyway, the black range where you are either with the light skinned ones or with the from the other side of it. It's like it's all this stuff. So now this is coming into play, but me I wouldn't basically take it seriously because any African is African.
Right. That's what
exactly. Any African is African.
It's about being biracial, being versus multi-ethnic, like the differences, the comparison. Yeah.
So I got a question for Nay. So when you come over to America, do you feel like the whole racial construct over here kind of homogenizes everybody, like black or white? Like that's kind of like taken away from like their ethnic background. It just kind of homogenizes people, or how do you feel about that?
I don't think so because, okay, let me tell you this. For the first time when I came to America, I was asked my eye color, my hair color. I have never asked at the age of 38. Imagine, I've never asked this kind of questions. So like, so I have category with that too. Then the gene pool black is very big. It's very big. It should. That was supposed to homogenize, like make it a harmony. It was supposed to make homogenize like all these things, but I don't see it because there are pockets. The first division I have seen here is like, hey, the white people are associated by themselves, the black people are associated by themselves, the Latin people are associated by themselves, and then the diasporas, they have their own pockets. So the division over here is more clear than over in Africa. In Africa, you're seen as African. Like you call yourself like, hey, I'm from this nation, but also it doesn't make it does.
Oh, so it's like you guys have your own like tribal identities, but you guys have a larger identity that you share that's African.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense. I like that.
I like that, but the whole reason that it's so divided in America is because America was built on the oppression of originally African people. That's why it's such a big thing. Like how Killer Queen said, she didn't know about racism until she came here from Puerto Rico. Because it's not a big thing in other countries. Other countries, you are all kind of the same, and then you have your own subgroup. Who's unmuted with water running?
But you have colorism though. That's big in Latin America.
Too many cities over here to begin with.
You know that?
Or to fight.
Colorism is a big topic, though. Colorism is a big topic. It might not be like racism.
Within the subgroup.
Yeah.
There's subgroups,
Because some people in my family had colorism. Because
Yeah.
But the issue for me is trying to force like the homogenization. Like if there does want to be like little subgroups that have their own identity, it's like no, you can't be that. You have to be one or the other. You know what I'm saying?
Right. They
Like
stop
it's in
doing that.
prison. Dude, American prisons is the same way. Like they have like the
It is the
kinfolk, and
same
then they have
way.
like the bro. The whole and when you go to prison
Crazy.
as a mixed person, if you go to prison as a mixed person, they make you pick between the kinfolk and the Aryan. Yup,
Right.
and you have to pick. You don't have a choice. You don't get to be both. You have to pick one.
You can't be
It's
that.
just
Yeah,
like
we're not
gangs.
allowed to, just have our own thing going on. You got to pick between the established, way and how it is, So it's crazy.
Yeah, you got to pick Jambas, Kumis, Bloods, Crips.
Yeah.
I did a decade. You got to choose up. You ain't gonna. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. People are forced into that. Like I met one of my friends. He was Latino. He went to prison too. He was like, he was forced to like. He's like, I don't really want to like, and it was a racist gang. He was like, I didn't really want to be a part of it, but I had to be because I didn't have no choice. He was like forced into it. It was like that's what he said. But I'm like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Queen. Oh, she left. I thought she was still in. I was trying to figure out what race or ethnicity she was. But
yeah, man.
I think it's weird in America how, it makes sense because of the history, but I don't like how, and you go to other countries and it's almost like beautiful. Like Africa to me is like a beautiful thing because they said they have all their different tribes, but they all identify as one thing, and then they have their own tribes. It's not based off of what you're like. I don't know. It's just dumb in America.
It's not based off of phenotype. Like, there may be different looks over there. Like there's a lot of different diversity of like looks maybe, but they all have their own. But the thing about it is too, there's different cultures associated with the different tribes too. So they have their own culture, they have their own identity, but they also have their larger. I don't know. I really think that we got a long way to go in America. Basically, we have a long.
Satan is closer than you think. That's so irrelevant.
What does that have to do with it?
Is he?
No, really?
Is he really? Is he really?
What's that gotta do? Not today, Satan. Not today.
I believe in God too. My bio says I love God, but that's not what this live is for, Buki.
Not today. Everyone is multiracial.
Don't you think that he would have something better to do with his time than to be here?
I don't know, dude. I do not.
Wouldn't you think though?
Like,
but wouldn't you think if they were you know what I mean? Like when why would they be here right now?
Literally, Satan is closer than you think.
Why would they be here? Why? Doesn't he have? But that's my thing. If there was somebody who, what's the goal? What's the purpose? Why?
The government will push its agenda. Boy, I've heard that agenda of they putting all these white women with black women. They're trying to push. I've heard that from racist white people.
You know they actually classify.
Yeah,
white women are classified as minorities and under the union. What? They're classified as minorities.
That's funny.
Because white men are the majority, and they're looped in with us.
That's hilarious.
Oh, is it like a women kind of thing
for quota for consumers energy, for example? I have a family member that works for them, and their quota, they have a diversity quota for how many black people they're supposed to hire, how many minorities they're supposed to hire, and white women are involved in that quota. Inside that white women, so they can hire a bunch of white women. It doesn't necessarily have to be black. It doesn't necessarily have to be. They're classified as minorities. Yep.
So
capitalism,
weird.
Y'all. Capitalism.
That is so weird.
It's so funny to me. Dude, the veil is being lifted, though. More and more people are educating themselves, and I love it. Really? But I honestly, bro, if I could move out of this country, I absolutely would. Because this whole, I
want to go. I want to leave, too.
Everybody
honestly.
swears America is the best. We spend the most on military. That's about it. America is probably the most corrupt, divided, hellish country on earth. It literally is so sick. And just the way that the way that they talk, the way that the government,
the propaganda that we're fed from a young age, that
true propaganda,
the best,
and even with the Israel Palestine
country in the world,
right?
That we're a military superpower, and
dude.
No, for real, because I've talked to Latino people. You know how Latino people, they mostly identify with their nationality. I'm Peruvian, I'm Bolivian, I'm Colombian. Right. But they're like, why don't you guys just identify with your nationality? I can't really identify with this shit and be proud.
Exactly.
Bro. I am American.
I want you guys to think about America. I love my land of the free, home of the Whopper. You know, I'm pro-choice because, you know, that's not my body. In China, they're advancing so much faster. You know why? Because it's like a country of a cult. Yeah, I swear.
It
is scary. So really, I swear, Americans, stop complaining. Like, we should love you. You should love that you do have this. Oh, you know?
See,
I really mean that.
Oh my God.
I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot.
Dude, have you looked at any other country?
That we're not, you know, in another place that doesn't have rights, and you know, I understand that, but it doesn't mean that. I mean, we're choosing the lesser evil here. Honestly,
yeah. You know the Vietnamese War. We call it the Vietnamese War. I was watching this documentary. This was when like the atomic bomb and Pearl Harbor and all that was going on in Vietnam. They call it the American War. And then when refugees were being brought over to America, and American people are so stuck on the fact that America is the best country. These kids were coming over because their parents were like, you know, pew-pewed, whatever. They were non-existent anymore. And the kids were coming over, and American people were like taking these refugees in, whatever, like greeting the kids. And they're like, congratulations on coming to America. I did not come here by choice. I did not come here for opportunity. I did not come here because it's the best country ever. I came here because y'all want to take refugees in now that you've like made our family and our parents non-existent. Like, come on.
But you know what the crazy thing is that these borders haven't really lasted for haven't been around for a very, very long time. All of this land was stolen, and like the land that I'm part of was a part of Mexico at one point, and then who drew the line? Who finally drew the line?
How do you have quote unquote aliens on stolen land? How do you have like illegal immigrants on stolen land? This is not y'all's land to begin with.
Yeah,
like, bro.
It's somebody's land, and they just kind of find rights to it. People just keep trying to find.
They pushed all these indigenous peoples to reservations, and it's just it's terrible. It's really honestly awful. But that's what America is built off of. America is built off of the evil, pretty much, if you want to say evil.
Have you seen the Islam? Have you seen the Islam religion?
Humanity.
Have you seen them? No. They are killing for their God. We are not going to kill for ours. We're not going to do that. I love my Netflix. You know what I mean? Like
Well, the extremists are killing for their God. I wouldn't say.
Extremists, yes.
Yeah, no, I don't want to just say. What happened?
Okay, because you're talking about the borders. I heard there was like how the colonization, they created all these borders in Africa, and how now they're trying to is that true?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
I can hear you a little bit.
So it is basically in 1884 they sat down in Berlin and they fragmented Africa into pieces, basically, according to colonial boundaries. Can you hear me? Yeah. So it is basically after the Berlin Conference in 1884, they fragmented Africa into 54 countries. According to colonial boundaries, based on actually how can they benefit more after they left Africa? So it's just what it is. But like you said, in every continent, if you see, most of the people who actually left Europe in earlys, those who are in Australia, for example, they killed all the Aborigines over there. They took over their land. Those who came over here, they did the same thing to the indigenous. When they come to Africa, they actually unalive a lot of Africans, took their land, their resources, and still they are taking. So it's not only here. The same thing in Asia. So it's worldwide. Just don't think about only that was happening in America. It's like it happening all over.
Yeah.
But you know what really bothers me is when people try to justify colonization by saying that, it's human nature and we've always been, conquerors. It gives me a headache. Like,
dude, or when white people say, well, white people used to be slaves. They were indentured servants. They got paid and had a warm place to sleep. That's not slavery.
Yeah, the British went over there and colonized Irish. They went over there and colonized Ireland people.
Right.
Yep.
They had indentured servants, not slaves. Please get out of my like. Dude, it is so annoying. I do not like how white people try to like act like oh, we've been through oppression too, and what about the Holocaust? The Holocaust has nothing to do with you. You're American, and that's why I feel like the American curriculum is so detrimental to like Black history, because it's an erasure. Like, we learned so much about 9/11. We learned so much about the Boston Tea Party. We learned so much about Christopher Columbus, who graped dolphins. Can we be honest right now? Like, but we don't learn. The slavery history is all sugar coated, and now they're like, we need to stop teaching critical race theory. We need to get these books out of our schools. No, we need to teach people the real history so it doesn't happen again. Because that's where it's leaning to right now. Like, dude.
In African history, most of African history, if you see, we learn most Africans, they know their history. Who colonized them? Why they were colonized? What they are in the situation right now? All the problems in and out. So that is basically what we learn. International geography, international history, all about Africa. Yeah, when we learn about America, about Asia, about Russia, about like all the other continents. But the thing is, priority is we talk about their country. Each and every country, they have their own history. How they were before colonization. How are they after colonization? How are they right now? What is the challenges? These are in their program. Most African countries.
And Gino, you said white people were slaves alongside us and before us. I don't like when people say stuff like that. Like not just out of personal preference, but because it's detrimental to Black history. They were indentured servants, and the Vikings, and we had the braids first. All this, it's all perpetuated narratives that are trying to erase and disguise the bad things that Black people went through. And I like it has a negative effect.
But they're saying like outside of the United States. But y'all, guess what on freaking happen? Now, granted, y'all have siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, y'all,
Right.
she gonna come in my room and take one of my jerseys to go to a party, right? Now, granted, she comes back and I see a stain on my jersey. Now, granted, if I go in her room right now and I grab something out of her stuff, she don't get mad, right?
That's siblings.
That's okay.
They
No,
take
that's
your
okay.
shit and then they don't. They get mad.
She took my stuff without asking, but it's okay because while she's sleeping, I'm gonna cut her clothes up. But it's okay.
Don't do it.
Okay.
No, that's
No, because she took stuff out of my room without asking.
Hey, no.
Because I'm exposing you. Yeah.
Oh my
Put a
goodness.
stain on her nose.
She do too fucking much. And she lucky I'm not in the fight mood because I will go put my hair in a man bun and we can go toe to toe. Yeah. Yeah. She looking at me like she crazy.
Is Gino, are you Black? Is Gino Black?
It's the same guy we were talking to earlier.
I know, but is he Black?
They feel like they can do you.
Show her. Start putting it up just to show her.
You know what?
I swear it was the same guy.
Oh,
It is the same guy, but is he Black?
See, she's a nice girl. She knows she better get her ass beat, so she give me a hair bow. That's what I'm talking about.
That's
Come on,
funny.
go ahead.
Let me
Let me get my
see.
hair bow.
Bro,
No,
what
he's
is
not.
Antoine talking about? What are you
He said I'm a colonizer.
calling? What? Like, dude.
No, he said.
I'll
Look,
let you run it now.
no, I'm just thinking it's so funny.
Go get daddy.
No, what did he
Go
say?
get daddy. I don't give a
He
fuck.
said Latinos are of Spanish descent and are colonizers as well. I said my ancestors were colonizers. I'm not a colonizer. He's like,
Hey, he's fighting for what happened to some people. To some
But that's
people,
like
bro.
everybody. Mine's worth-
Yeah.
mine's worth-
like that's not me.
And
That
y'all-
got nothing to
they're
do
the
with
Mine's
me.
worth, but I don't. It's sad what happened, but mine's colonizers, but it has nothing to do with me.
Right. They're deflected.
Right.
This is what white
If
people
you want,
do.
Antoine, I'll apologize. I can apologize to you like a few times if you want on behalf of my people, I guess.
I'm
You know, like,
sorry
what do you want, bro?
Literally,
All
I'm
right?
sorry on their behalf. I really am.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
With them. Personally, I didn't mess with them. I never messed with. I never liked those folks anyway, bro. I'm just letting you know, Antoine.
As long as we're working to like dismantle.
Go argue with the people at the cemetery.
Yeah.
Go to the cemetery and argue with those people.
We can do what we can.
Literally.
I have some conquistador graves for you to yell at over there.
But this is all
Looking to find
deflecting.
them.
Guys, this is like all deflecting from like the topic at hand. Like, Gino, I don't know what angle you're coming. I've been trying to figure out what angle you were coming from. Antoine, I don't know what you're doing. This is all deflecting. Like,
Oh, Antoine said I'm not native. I'm Black.
so
I'm sorry,
what
I
are
was
you talking about
listening
then?
what Antoine was because he really threw me off a little bit.
Just said stop claiming land. Like, bro, what are you even talking about? You're Black. You're not native. Who's
I don't even got
claiming
no land to
land?
claim. I live in an
We
apartment.
got to give him like an
Claim
apartment or some real estate. We got to hook Anton up.
Latinos
I
definitely
wish
take
I
other people's
could. I
away.
would. If I had to, bruh, I'm
Most,
paying rent like everybody
but the
else.
thing about Latinos is that most of them are indigenous descent though.
Right.
So like, so
True.
they're the descendants of the Mexica people.
A
Isn't
lot of
So
them
Latino? Is
are, is
that
what we
okay?
just
When did the
said.
word Latino get coined? When did that word get coined?
oh no, sorry, not Latinos. No, I'm talking about Mexican people. So Latino is somebody who is descends from a Latin country.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
But I heard that
but
was like
that's
a new word that was like
Latin. Latin. I don't know. Honestly,
Latino, Spaniard, whatever, bro. Just whatever.
but even those labels in themselves have like problems. Like it doesn't.
exactly. I hear a
It
lot of
doesn't.
Latinos that are like, I'm not Latino, I'm
It
indigenous.
does.
Oh
Like
my
that makes
The
me
nerve.
it's something that it's very complicated.
Yeah.
It's very
yeah, it is
complicated matter.
complicated. It is. It
And
really
there's
is.
Chicano. Throw Chicano in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
So yeah,
Chicano. Those are like the American
yeah.
born ones, right?
That's what the prison says. They say like kinfolk, Chicano, like they have like
They
the
be
different groups.
beefing. I seen
Dude,
that.
like,
I seen the American born like Chicanos beef with the what are they? They have a word for them. It's like a slur, like Mexican born Mexicans. Like there's a beef there
Mexican born Mexican. Oh yeah,
versus like
yeah.
American born ones. Like there's a beef.
Oh,
yeah,
I've seen it. It's crazy.
interesting.
yeah, I have to. That's that privilege though. That's it. Like
That's what they said.
American
Yeah,
privilege.
yeah,
Like, dude.
exactly. They feel
Oh
like
my
yeah.
God. That's why this whole concept that America is the best country in the world is so detrimental to everybody, because now it makes people like when I was talking about how they invited the refugee, they like brought the refugees over and they're like, congratulations on coming to America. You just blew my home up. You literally just obliterated my home, and now you're gonna congratulate me because I'm
And
the
give
best
me
country in the
a
world.
house as an
Like, dude,
apology.
You hear that, Anton? You hear
Get
that?
mad every time I go back to my country. When you get
even
mad at
those
me,
white
right?
slave masters, like they'll be like, oh, well, this slave owner was nice to her slaves. She gave them food. What does that mean? They were still being treated like property. I don't care if she was nice. She still owned people. Like, bro, they're always trying to
I brought that
deflect
up.
from
I was at a family reunion with my white T side, and I brought up the fact that that some of our ancestors owned slaves, and like, well, they let them go. Well, they fucking had to because it was against the law.
This is one of the good ones.
Well, we had to let them. Well, they let them go.
Oh
Like
my
they didn't have to, you know. Like
God.
it was like oh, out of their good kind heart, but it was
But
like
it's
you
so
had to.
sad because like I remember talking to my grandparents, and me and my mom had to really sit down and really talk to them. I don't know what, but it's just like I don't know if it's like the boomer generation or what it was, but I honestly do kind of really do think it might have been that. Or which it depends on what kind of, boomer you were, right? And what background you come from. There was a lot of prejudice against, African American people, and it blows my mind, the generational gap
Yeah.
between the older generations and us, because they say things and they don't even realize that
Yeah.
it could be offensive.
What we need to
Like,
start doing is making people feel uncomfortable. Like I said earlier, we
yeah,
need to make people like call people out. And I've heard people say it all the time. Oh, she was raised in an older generation. I don't care if you're 90. If you're racist, and you need to be corrected. Period. There's no age limit
yeah.
on ignorance. There's no age limits on ignorance. Like,
Wait, that was like my grandmother. She like she said something about, how like the saying that how Mexicans cross the border through the Rio Grande, therefore their back was, so
yeah,
that term,
Oh yeah.
yeah, my grandmother used it when she was talking about somebody, or I don't know, like a Mexican probably. And
yeah.
and my mom just kind of just looked at her and she's like, like what? Like what did you just say? Like, you
No,
know what I mean?
literally.
Like what did and then she's like, well, you know that your granddaughter, her grandfather was from Mexico. And but it blows my mind though, because I
Yeah.
live in New Mexico. Majority of our ancestors are either from here in New Mexico, indigenous to New Mexico, or they were conquistadors, they were Spaniard, or they came from Mexico. So I'm like I don't understand. Like
we think that we're so different from these people that we would have never thought that we practically are no, we were not really different after all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if we look in our roots, you would be surprised. Like I said, like I had no clue that I could have had indigenous ancestry. All I was told is that I was Hispanic and my
Right.
ancestors came from Spain.
And that's
it's like,
exactly why the division between African and African American is so dumb. Because it's like,
Yeah.
bro, if you actually meet like real Africans, if you're African, you're African. There's no
Yeah.
like little divisions like how it
That's
is
so
in America.
true.
Like, dude, you are what you are, period. There's no subdivision. There's no, oh, I'm half this. No, you are what you are. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's why it's so beautiful. But another, like, we need to stop letting people be comfortable because older people
But I
are
know that
comfortable.
I know that different tribes work differently when it comes to like mixing. So I talked to Igbo. They're like, well, you are what your father is. If you're
Right.
half white, if your father's white and your mom's black, then you're white. You know, but if it works, like the whole mixing works differently with different tribes. Like some of them are more matriarchal. I've heard them that you are what your mother are. If your mother's of our tribe, then you are of our tribe. But if they're not, then so that's a whole different
So what you
thing.
saying?
Oh,
So that's not black.
tribes.
So if I am what my father was, what would that make me? He don't look black to the world. So what
Right.
that make me?
In America, you are what your dad
different
is.
tribes, right?
Most tribes are like paternal, not maternal.
Paternal, right? Exactly.
Yeah, paternal. So basically, let's say if from my tribe, my sister got married to another tribe, she's going to be that tribe. The kids will be that tribe, all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so that's why most of
see.
the tribal stuff is like, hey, they get married within the tribe because everybody will be in that tribe, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is that's like the paternal stuff, basically. But there are
That's a
some
paternal.
tribes who are maternal lineage too. Anyway, very few though.
You know what I'm thinking about, guys? Maybe that's why in slavery, white women who got pregnant were enslaved because like if a white man raped a black woman, those kids would still be white according to America's rules because we base paternal, like you are what your dad is, so those kids would still be white. But a white woman, it would kind of have to be more consensual, so that would make those kids black because the dad is black, whatever, and then that takes away from the white bloodline. So maybe that's why they enslaved white women for getting pregnant by black men. I feel like that makes more sense now that we know that we're like
They punish the women. I think but I think it's more of they punish the women, but they let the men do whatever kind of thing.
I think it's both. I think it's both because that would make more sense.
You want to know something? A lady asked me when I told her because she wanted to know why did my dad would have these tattoos. I said, well, he has some islanders. She said, well, how come y'all not? She assumed that he has some island name, so she assumed that I didn't. If you are, then how come you're not overweight? So a person said that.
Oh my god!
She said that, well, how come your hands are not as big, or and how come? And it was a while like she didn't really know better. So I said to her, so you say they all overweight and they all have long hair with tattoos all over. She assumed that, well, you don't really look the part because you don't look like
The stereotype.
that is islander to be chubby, long hair, tatted up, so you don't really fit that stereotype. So I looked at her, I said, I hope this lady don't really go around saying this because if she goes to the wrong person and say this, oh God. And I'm just trying to help her out. I said, I get you don't mean any harm, but be careful on your words because if you walk to the wrong person, somebody might not take that as how I take it.
Right, exactly.
You end up putting your hands. So I'm gonna tell her this. Now, granted, I know you don't know no better because you were more trying to learn about cultures and stuff. And then she said, well, I don't get how y'all say y'all were slaves. My people were slaves. I said, well, hold on. Then again, if we're in America, white people didn't face slavery.
Right.
Now, in other countries, there was white on white racism. There was there was white on white like situations where you have white countries that did do horrible things, like Italians and British people had their conflict. Ireland and British had a conflict. A lot of white countries had issues. Hungarians still don't like Swedish people.
Right.
So white countries had conflict. They had bad times, segregated times, but a lot of people are applying that to America. And in America, racism was affecting people of color, meaning if you're Asian, Black, Native American, if you're Black especially, or Native American. But if you're more like if you're like Hispanic but you don't look black or white, they would treat you horribly as well. So now a lot of people try to say, well, we went through stuff too, which I'm not going to take that away from y'all, but then again, that's another country.
That's the oppression Olympics I be talking about, bro. Is there a way to kick Antoine? Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, is there a way to like get him out of the comments?
So, there's a lot of people who don't understand.
I'll mute him.
He's just like, dude, are you serious? Why are y'all talking about y'all didn't go through nor care about?
I don't think he knows what he's talking about. I think he just had saying stuff.
Wait,
have you personally been through colonization, Antoine? Can you answer that question for me?
Wait a minute.
I think Antoine's just saying random stuff.
He literally, he's trolling. He has to be a troll.
Yeah, but it's not even like good trolling, though.
There are any opposition in the. Who muted Crack up? Muted Crack.
I'll drop for him.
Yeah. But yeah, so we can't give it silence. If there's any opposition in here and you would like to come up, feel free to request, but just let us know in the comments that you are opposition to the topic.
Yeah,
I'll drop for him. I will drop at any point, Reaper. I totally get it. I'm okay with that. Crack up, I was going to message you because you asked about the whole I will make
What
a
happened?
really quick.
Hello? What just happened? Why did everybody get kicked off? Yo, YouTube. I'm not YouTube. Where am I? TikTok. That was weird.
Sounded like another live got mixed in with ours.
That was bad.
I heard some lady talking.
I did too. Like,
I heard some lady talking. Who's that? she was like saying like, is there any opposition here? Is there any opposition?
I thought that
here?
was us.
What's going on? Who
Dude,
was
I thought that was
Why
ours.
was that? Was that a glitch in the Matrix? What just happened?
Is there any oppositions to what we've been talking about?
Yeah, it was something like it was like a different. It felt like it was a different live, and they were trying to debate. You know?
Yeah.
That's what it kind of sounded like.
Yo, I thought you were watching another live, or you were like, I don't know. What just
Me?
No, mine.
I
heard it. I was like, I was not
I don't think I did that.
Dude. Bye,
oh, bye, Zay. That was so
glitchy as hell.
But guys, maybe we should get like some opposition up here. It's like what we've been talking about. Like that kind of gave me like.
Is there opposition?
Any opposition in the comments?
I've been muting them, but if y'all want to debate, y'all want to debate.
Couldn't have even come up.
I wouldn't call it debating. I would just call it like getting rid of ignorance. That's what I like to call it.
Maybe I should change the topic.
Yeah.
What should I change the topic to?
I don't know. What do you have?
Like opposition. Like what would be the opposition be?
Why me not come to work?
Why don't you talk? Hold on. So, how can you ask a question of like, how like mixed you are or something like that? Like, how do I say it? Like, you know how like we said earlier, like, I'm not native enough, but I'm also not Spaniard enough. Like, you know what I mean?
I gotta word it. Let me see.
I have like no clue. Like my brain is not working.
My brain is not working. I got a headache. I'm kind of
like. How do you say that?
What?
Am I too white to be native?
Race? Oh.
No, I mean that's. But like, how can you say it for
Am I too white to be a person of color? Am I too white looking to be a person of color?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Ooh, girl.
So white presenting, like, why do you guys question white presenting, people, ethnicity?
I would say people of color, something like that.
Yeah, persons of color. Or people of color, that's better.
I might do that another day, y'all. I'm sorry.
No, girl, you're fine. I kind of need to get off here anyways. I've been waiting on a call, but...
Y'all have a good day. I followed
so
you.
good
Okay.
talking.
Alright. Nice being up here with you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Good talk. Good
Good
talk.
It
Bye.
talk.
was good. I want to bring if I had trees up because you were kind of inspired. I was gonna do this live anyway, but then I seen your What up, girl? How you doing?
I think I have to leave in about 15 minutes or so, but I'll stay in the chat right now.
Yeah, I was kind of inspired by this because I was gonna do this live anyway, but then I seen your TikTok is saying, you know how you kind of got confused for being Dominican. It's like, well, I wouldn't even see you as black. I'd see you as a white Dominican. I was like, they're trying to confuse it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's weird being like, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird experience. Like the ethnicity being multi-ethnic versus being. And I think you raised a good point about raised by a white family who love who I am. What did you say in the comments? I think it's being genetically mixed and being, that's so true. I think that's true.
Because there's a difference between being genetically mixed and being culturally mixed. So a lot of people who have parents from two different countries or two different
Hold on, I can't
cultures
hear you
are
that good. You sound kind of muffled a little bit, just a little bit.
Oh, let me fix it.
Okay.
Can you hear me a bit better
Oh,
now?
that's better. That's way better. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I had my headphones in. But a lot of people with parents from two different countries, they're culturally mixed, but not necessarily ethnically mixed. Like there are people who have, let's say, one parent from Germany and one parent from Poland. And you could say they are culturally mixed, but they're not ethnically mixed. But there are people who are ethnically mixed, but are not culturally mixed. Like a lot of Brazilian people are ethnically mixed, but they are not culturally mixed, they're just Brazilian.
Exactly. It's a totally different thing.
Yeah. For me, I have a confusing background because even though my parents are from two different countries, I am not really culturally mixed due to how I was raised.
You're raised in one culture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, it's actually even more complicated than that because I live in Hawaii and I grew up in Hawaii. So I've been around a lot of Asian culture, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I relate to that because I was raised in a predominantly white environment, and then I moved to a different environment. It was like mostly Hispanic people. And then I moved to a different environment. It was mostly black people. So it's like I do have these three different cultures that I was, around a lot, that I was influenced by, that I was, you know what I'm saying? So I do relate to that, being like, I do relate to that a lot.
Yeah, like for example, my mom is white. I was raised by my mom, but most people who are around me currently are different types of Asian. So, for example, most of my coworkers are from the Philippines. My foster parents were from the Philippines, like not just being Filipino, but they were from the Philippines. So, I've essentially lived around that culture for a long time.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm just trying to evolve. I'm still on my little identity journey, but I've come to the point because you see these lives of biracial is not a race. Biracial, it doesn't mean anything. Like you can't be biracial. You're either black or white. Like you see that a lot, right? So I was like, okay, well, I'll just identify as being multi-ethnic because you can't argue my DNA. You can't just say, oh, you're not Irish and African. You can't say that. But people always want to argue about, if you do you look black, there's, you know what I'm saying? I just want to have an identity that is not debatable. You know what I'm saying? People debate what are I just want to be this is what I am. It's not up for debate. It's not art. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want at the end of the day. So I'm maybe I'll just identify more with my ethnicities because the whole social. I don't know how it is in Hawaii.
It's kind of funny. It's really funny because here there's no formal one drop rule. So what that means is that I am, depending on who I'm talking to, my ethnicity depends on who I'm talking to, really. Because a lot of times here, people will insist that I am white. Just fully straight up white.
That's crazy. And if you come to America, people are going to see you as a mixed black girl. They're going to see, you know what I'm saying? So it's that's totally different racial construct versus like in America, it's like, oh, one drop rule. Everybody.
Because here I am de facto the white girl in a lot of situations. I'm considered and viewed as white by a lot of people here.
Wow. Do you kind of fight against that? Like, no, like I am half white, but I'm not like, you kind of fight against that? Like, what do you think?
It's weird for me because on one hand, I feel like I was raised by my mom, so I do have a lot of things that are typical. But at the same time, this is going to be hard to explain. I grew up in a micro community of white people who were born in Hawaii, but most of them, their white family came from either Norway in the 1800s or came to Hawaii like over 50 years ago.
Norwegian. So they're Norwegian. So are you Norwegian? Like your mom? Oh, okay.
I'm not. My mom's actually from the mainland, so my mom's American. But a lot of people that I grew up with, it's kind of a micro community in Hawaii where these are people who were born in Hawaii and their parents were born in Hawaii. So it's kind of a different thing from being born in the mainland. So they have their own like cultural quirks, I guess. Like they're American, but they're definitely different from people who are from the mainland. Like when I meet people from the mainland, I definitely notice that they act different from the people who I grew up with.
Right. That's so interesting.
So it's Oh, sorry. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. So it's definitely an interesting thing to be around. So I often find that people from the mainland, when I talk to them, they notice that I guess that people here tend to act a bit differently from people from the mainland, even though people in Hawaii are American. It's a different culture here.
Right. It's a different, like I said, race is a social construct. So like everywhere, like all different, because people think of like America has its own way of viewing race. Other cultures, other communities have their own way of viewing it, right?
Yeah.
So that's very interesting because over here, we're considered black. So it's like, but what we were talking about earlier, there should be like my whole point. They force this construct onto us, right?
Yeah.
It's either this or that. You have to, and it's like it just shouldn't be forced. There should be inclusive to people who are not just one, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there needs to be more inclusion because it's just it don't make sense. That's why it's so confusing because it's not real. Like we have to challenge these things and actually try to be more inclusive to people who are in the middle of all of it and let them exist as as they are and not have them pick a side. But I understand why most people are like, well, I identify more with black because they were oppressed by white people, so I'm gonna identify more with that. And it doesn't erase the fact that you are like half white, but you should still be able to like exist like in the middle of all of it. You know what I'm saying? You should still be able to have a place.
I feel like a lot of people who are on the mainland, they identify as black because they're seen as black. And I feel that a lot of mixed people might find more, I guess, solace in the black community because I'm going to be honest, a lot of black American men, it might be, for some people, it might be easier to date them, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people do that out of convenience in a sense. And here I never really had the same experience. For example, like here, by the white people that I grew up with, I was seen as black, but by people who are not white, and the thing is that most people here aren't black is the thing. Being black people and people who are mixed with black are a very small minority here. So here I'm kind of seen as white by a lot of people because I'm not Asian.
But there's not a lot of like, people don't really have a lot of interaction with like people who are mixed black and white, who are half African American, half white American or whatever. They don't have that. They don't have a lot of interaction with them, right?
Definitely no. Like here, a lot of people just do not know what you are if you're half black, half white, because people here are more familiar with people who are half Asian, half white, or Polynesian, Asian mixes. They're not really as familiar with people who are half white, half black. So it's a funny experience for sure.
That is funny. It's a valid experience, it's very interesting. Like I said, like I agree with I've seen people on live, their prompt was like, biracial is not a definitive experience. It is not. There's so many different experiences within people who are,
mixed race.
Yeah, there's so many millions of different experiences. It's not just one. But we do have we do share a lot of things in common, though. How we're going to be, mislabeled by so many different people or misread, but we don't really. That is like a common experience. It doesn't really bother me, honestly. I'm just like, you know what? I know what I am. If you view me as a certain way and you ask me, like, but it's just because of the fact, like, if you view me a certain way and you ask me, and I tell you, and if that makes you uncomfortable, you make me try to pick a side to make you comfortable, like, that's where the issue lies in. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really bother me that, people assume I'm this or that. Like, I don't feel like that's it's not really a struggle to me. It's like, as long as you're not discriminating against me, or, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just feel like I just don't like the forced categorization. Like, why don't we open up things? And I try to talk about that, but because people say, biracial is not a race, and that's true. It's the whole category. But being multi-ethnic, that's not just claiming your ethnicities. But my whole point is, that's always been happening. Like, people of multiple ethnicities have been coming together and creating new terms for themselves, their new identity, a new culture, new community. That's been going on forever. Like, the Romani people, like, they're Indian, and then the European, they migrated over European. The colors in South America, the Dominican, like, this has been happening all over the world. So it's like, why are we trying to, like, we don't want that to happen in America. We don't want them to have their own identity, because I don't want to subscribe to this racial hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? That's what people don't want.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, if you have your own category, you're going to be above me in the racial hierarchy because whatever's closest to white. And it's like, I'm against that. Like, I don't want that shit. You know what I'm saying? No.
I personally think that it's best for people who are mixed to identify as mixed, because for me, what I see is that, okay, so I see, like, honestly, I feel that mixed people identifying as black contributes to colorism, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, people say that. Black people, they say, hey, that's erasing my identity, because if we always, and that's it makes sense, because, media representation, I was talking about that earlier, media representation, if we're always representing, black people as mixed, like, that's a, genuine concern for people who are fully black. They don't feel like they're represented.
Yeah, I feel that that's definitely a thing that does happen, and until mixed people are seen as their own category, that's not really going to stop. Especially since, I'm going to be honest, like, there are, like, colorist standards in the Black American community and other Black communities, as far as I can tell, that do kind of put lighter skin on a pedestal, but that doesn't necessarily mean that mixed people are treated well, if you know what I mean.
But here's my thing, too. I think you could fight against racial injustice and against oppression and still, like, identify as mixed, just because, that's
right. Me too.
That's what I think.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel that it's actually counterintuitive for mixed people to identify as black, because I do not have the experiences of someone who is fully black.
And people say that a lot, too. Like, people have told me, like, look, and I'll never be able to compare, right? Because we'll never be fully black, so I can't really truly compare. But it is a different experience, and we know it. When people say those light skin privileges, that's because we have a different experience, right? So we're perceived differently. So it is like a different experience. We are perceived differently, and that doesn't mean we're divided, though. Just because we are there's differences there, we can acknowledge those differences. That doesn't mean that we're divided, or that, you know what I'm saying, that we're not. Yeah. Like, just because we have differences doesn't mean I'm not going to stand up to people against racial injustice or inequality.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. I feel that I have to leave in about a minute.
Okay, cool. It was good talking to you. I'm about to close the live out. I just wanted to. I definitely had you in mind when I did this. So I'm happy you came up here and we got to talk for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll definitely hop on again if you'd like me to.
Absolutely. This is a good conversation. I really want to talk about that, though. I really want to expand on that. Like, the whole, like, you could identify as mixed and still stand up for racial injustice and equality, and
definitely.
still,
I definitely agree.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that you have to deny, like, your ethnicity and your other ethnicity on the other side. You can acknowledge, like, the injustice that they've done to your other side, but we could still have an identity and still, like, do the right thing. And you know what I'm saying? Just, we don't, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Just, that's all right.
I'm gonna exit the live because I have to leave.
All right, bye. Good talking to you. Bye. Bye. All right, y'all. I think this was a really good conversation. I loved it. I really love this a lot, man. Say it again for the trolls in the back. Yes, girl. Thank you for being part of the live. Thank you for supporting so much. I really appreciate it. I love this live. It was really fun. I love, it was a good conversation. I love these conversations. It wasn't hot. I like that it didn't get hostile too. You notice that? Y'all that been on my TikTok lives, you know, this did not get hostile. It didn't. And it's good. I appreciate we can have these conversations without, you know, things getting hot and heated about things. And I love that. Like, that's a blessing. That is a blessing. I feel like we've moved forward, you know, because that was, people were like kind of trying to shut down these conversations and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And saying no, you know, but, you know, we were able to have these conversations in peace about just exploring, you know, just exploring things, different people's opinions. And so thank God, I'm grateful. That's why it wasn't that many viewers though, because it wasn't as hostility in the fighting wasn't there, but I would take peace over anything. Okay. I'll take peace and a good conversation. That I like that. All right, y'all, I gotta go. My kids are fighting. I gotta go make dinner. Y'all have a great night. Okay. Bye, y'all.